Good evening. What a fantastic evening it is. What a fantastic evening it is. I speak to you from American Hammers TV co-headquarters in Chelmsford, Massachusetts, which is a couple miles from the headquarters in Lowell. And I speak to you as a fan of a club that is in Europa League, a club that has set a Premier League points record, a club that has finished ahead of Arsenal and Tottenham, a club that finished with a positive goal differential. I'm talking to you from the mountaintop right now, or at least from a hilltop. Let's put it that way. So welcome to American Hammers TV, the part of the American Hammers Network. We're glad you're here. If you haven't liked it, subscribed, you probably have, let's face it, everybody who's watching right now. But if you haven't, please do. That would be great. That would help us a lot. Check us out at ahtv.threadless.com or check out americanhammerstv.net to get your American Hammers TV stuff and also some West Ham stuff. But see, look at this. How nice is that, huh? That's nice. That's nice. Also, West Ham stuff that doesn't say American Hammers TV on it. If you want just stuff that says West Ham on it, you can have that too. Or if you're part of a supporters group, like almost everybody here, then get your supporters group merchandise, all right, from the shop. You can get. I have a Merrimack Valley Hammers shirt. It's fantastic. Alex in Mississippi designed it for us. It looks brilliant. So I'm the only person in the world with one probably, but it looks really good.
I got a Chilean Hammers shirt, and then I did an interview with one of the Chilean Hammers on my YouTube channel. So
that's right, and it was in Spanish, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's brilliant. I've been meaning to talk to the guys from West Ham, France, and see if they want to come on here and talk to me, but I haven't ever put that together. But we're working on some interviews for the summer. Yeah. So Danny's in the chat room, Foe's in the chat room, Vernon's in the chat. Tons of people are filing in. Everybody's filing in. It's good to see. So who do we have with us tonight from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the cradle of American liberty? It's John Anthony Nolan. How you doing, John?
I am astounded at the season we've had. So I'm so happy, and you can tell by the look on my face.
This is the happiest I've ever seen you.
It's like very expressive. Yeah, no, it's great, isn't it? It's great.
It's
see everybody else. Let's talk about how great things are.
Fantastic. It's brilliant. Our proper Cockney from East London, James. How you doing, James?
Amazing, mate. Amazing. I feel proud of the team. I feel proud to be a supporter of this club at the minute. They've done well, done very well this season.
Now, James was on earlier today. Chris had a show with James, Irish Tommy, and Jazz. And so James has already done a whole round of stuff, but he's going to do it for us again. So we appreciate him coming on again. This is Sleepy James. Now, when I saw him, I watched him this afternoon at like early evening UK time, and I was like, who is that guy? He was all like bright and cheery, you know. And then, but I like Sleepy James better. I sort of like, chill James. So we're getting this is James after dark.
Yeah, as long as there's no mousy girl talk, they're all good. Like.
You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen.
I think I'm going to remember that mousy girl
with
thing
those
for like
mousy
10
girls.
years.
Those mousy girls, they're out there. I'm telling you, you got to watch out for them. You got to watch out for them. My neighbor, just to the south of me in Boston, David, how are you?
I'm doing lovely. I'm on cloud nine. I'm loving that we made Europa League. I'm just trying to think of, where to go, where to travel as soon as the schedule comes out on August 27th. How to get tickets without a season ticket, how all those logistics work, things like that.
This one expired 4 years ago, and I haven't traveled to Europe in a long time, so I need to renew it and get a passport for my two boys who've never had one. And I think my wife's passport is up to date, but I got to get this one renewed because I want to go over. I really do. And for some reason, when I was trying to sell my wife on going to London, like she got a master's degree at Oxford. She loves London. She loves England, but she was not as excited about London as she was about like Seville or, Marseille or, some of the places we might end up going. So I think it's an easier sell, but we'll see about that. Down in Maryland, down where they do crab cakes and football. That's what Maryland does. I think that was a quote from Wedding Crashers. It's Lucas. How you doing, Lucas?
I'm ecstatic, loving life right now. Waiting for the bastardly tour of the century.
Now, Lucas said, yeah, I know. West Ham fans in Europe, people don't know. They just have no idea what's about to hit them. Lucas messaged me maybe about 3 minutes after the game ended on Sunday. And he said, I want to come on Wednesday night. I said, you got it. Of course. And finishing his midnight snack I don't know what his hashtag means, but that's not unusual. From North London, proper North London Hammer, Charlie Walsh. How you doing, Charlie?
So Lee, you don't have an opinion on Iceland's Eurovision entry this year? You're telling me you don't have an opinion?
You know what? I didn't watch Eurovision, and I'm going to tell you, when I lived in Europe, I watched Eurovision every year.
Correct.
Because Terry Wogan was the host on BBC.
Yes.
And the only thing that made it worth watching was Terry Wogan. All right, the musical acts were pretty awful. And I tried to watch it in French one time, and I got through 2 acts. I was like, I don't need this. But Terry Wogan, God rest his soul. He died 7 years ago. He was fantastic. So I watched it for him.
Yeah, Graham Norton's taken over now, who's actually very good at it as well.
Is he?
He takes it slightly more seriously than Terry did, but he's so funny that it just makes up for it. And so he just destroys. But the point is that Iceland were robbed, Lee, and I've decided to use this platform to make a case. I'm maybe going to take it to some sort of high court, where
the court for arbitration or something. Of Eurovision. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think there's been a war crime committed
here.
Well,
did you hear? No. What I read about Eurovision was that the Italians won, and then there's a bug on my screen, literal bug in my computer. That the gentleman who was the lead singer for the Italian entry, there was an accusation that he was sniffing coke behind the scenes before the show.
The thing is, okay, so here's the breakdown.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was sniffing coke behind the scenes before the show. There was an accusation that he sniffed coke in the middle of the arena, in the middle of everything. And I saw the video, and I can't lie, it's maybe the least conclusive thing I've ever seen in my life that created a Twitter storm. He basically just bends down like this for a second and comes back up, and I'm like, bro, what are you talking? Where has this come from? Look, I thought his performance was great as well, but sometimes you can just be a charismatic guy. Not as charismatic as Iceland's entry. Again, I do wish to stress that, but they were very good.
Now he tested negative, for cocaine. Yeah. He tested negative, which I think that's what should disqualify him. I think the lack of Colombian marching powder in his system is what should disqualify him. Not the other way around. If you're going to be a rock star, I mean, come on,
Charlie, can you explain something to me? So,
of course,
I grew up on Eurovision, and we all huddled around the TV together, and year after year after year, watched Ireland just dominate Eurovision through the 90s because that's what happened. Neil has just said it's 10:40 a.m. in South Australia. Why is Australia? I've left the country. Australia is now in the Eurovision. What is going on there?
What happened, right, is about 5 years ago, Eurovision became cool. And I don't know how, and I don't know why, but it did.
I didn't even know it existed, but then it became global, and it was on like Twitter and the Daily Mail.
Will Ferrell's done a movie about it. Will Ferrell's done a movie about it now, which I haven't seen, but he's done a movie.
Oh, it's horrible. Don't waste your time.
Okay, it did not look good. It did not.
Yo, ding dong. But as far as I'm aware with the Australia thing, I don't know if it's a Commonwealth thing. I don't know. But they just rocked up out of nowhere. There's a couple of countries now that aren't in Europe. I don't know. They've announced there's going to be an American Song Contest. Which is Eurovision, but just the
very good.
Please no, I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with that.
So
it'll be a bunch of like folk country. No, it's not going to be good. I don't want that. I think Texas should have an entry in Eurovision next year. Not the United States, just Texas should have an entry in Eurovision.
I reckon
that would be
incredible. I don't. So if any of you have ever watched the Royal Rumble, okay, you get your entrance and there's 30 entrants, and then randomly in the middle of it, flipping entry 16 will be someone you didn't know was coming out. Someone who's new in the company or old guy returning, all's exciting. I think we should do that. You have your 30, do you know what I mean? I feel like we should have like the 30 entrants or whatever it is, and then randomly there'll just be a spot and no one announces who it is. It's just question marks, and then just a random country, maybe a town, just something comes out of nowhere.
This guy is going to be the old Dallas Texas
of Eurovision, though.
This is going to be This is the Eurovision entry from Texas next year, and he's going to look just like that. And it's going to be a real pistol. It's going to be like a 357. He's going to roll out there in, and it's going to terrify all of them, and it's going to be fantastic. That's my guy right there.
And Buzz Nutter will be the lead singer as
well.
Buzz
Nutter will be the lead singer. That's my dude. That's my dude right there.
The beauty of Eurovision was more than just the music, because the music was typically shit, consistently bad. but it was the politics going on behind the scenes. Seeing the Scandinavian countries act as a block and give each other 10s, even though they're worth -5. It was just shit. It was fantastic. So America comes in.
The Cyprus, like the Cyprus Greece Turkey thing.
Yeah, every single year America's going to be last. Who's voting for America at Eurovision?
Well, one of my favorite. Well, no one voted for us this year, so as long as they
bring Canada with us, we have to.
But one of the best moments in Eurovision this year was when. So they have the present. If you've never watched it, they have presenters. By the way. Yes. Of course, no messing, bro. They have like a celebrity from their country read out how the people voted in that country, and they give a little spiel and say hello, and then they go.
I love that part. That's the best part of the whole thing.
It is the best point. And they go,
it's the best part of the whole thing.
The 12 points goes to, and they pause, and then they go. Lithuania or whoever, and they get the points, right? And the Cyprus guy goes up and he goes, and the 12 points goes to, and everyone, and because there was an audience there as well, because we're back in stadiums now, so there was an audience there, and the whole crowd, Greece, and he goes, Greece, and then boo. Like, it was a beautiful moment. It was a beautiful moment.
By the way, I just want to tell you, and not to change this, but if I didn't mention, I can't remember if I mentioned this before we started or after we started. We've got it's a thunderstorm. There's a thunderstorm north of Boston right now, and there's lightning and thunder.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, well, I can hear it here too. So it's
that's
like,
my dog.
Oh, it's going off over here too. It's kicking off.
I just saw lightning flash outside my window here. So all I'm saying is, if we just cut off, it's because my power went out. All right, it's nothing personal. If we just cut off, it's got nothing to do with you. It's because the power went out. So everybody on the chat room, please understand that I don't think it's going to happen, but. Our garage got struck by lightning a couple of years ago, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not connected to the house. All right, it's but even so, that was amazing. If you've never heard anything so loud in your life, it's incredible when lightning strikes like right next to you. But anyway, so now Neil, Neil is anti-Australia. Well, they need Oceania vision is what they need. They need like Australia, New Zealand, and all those various Samoas that are down there, and New Guinea and places like that, right?
Wait, for our American viewers, Lee, I think you have to explain that because they just call the continent Australia.
Well, you have Australia and New Zealand, and then a bunch of Samoas. We own some of the Samoas here in the United States, and then Michael Bloomberg, remember, won the presidential primary in American Samoa. That's the only one that he won for all the money he spent. And then there's like Tonga. Do you guys remember the Jets? The biggest selling Tongan musical act of all time. Tongan American, but anyway. The Jets. They did a song called "You Found Out I Had a Crush on You" and a couple of others, and they were it's back in the '80s. All right, these are real. There they are. Let me expand a little bit, see it a little better. There they are. Tongan American family group from the '80s, the Jets. So they would be in the Oceania vision. You know what I mean? With Australia, New Zealand, and lots of Samoas, like New Guinea, and I don't know, all the other unpronounceables like Tuvalu and all those places like that, and all the old British colonies. That who knows what those are.
Shout out to my Polynesians too.
Yeah, I mean all that stuff, all Pacific Islander stuff. Throw Hawaii in there. Why not? It's maybe 5,000 miles away, but whatever. It's all out in the ocean, So so you guys should do that, Neil. You should have your get on that, Neil, will you? All right. I know you're retired. You don't have anything else to do.
Neil.
Yeah, Neil. Come on. What do you do? Sit around watching American Network TV all day? Come on. Do something with your life. This is the first time in my time as a West Ham fan, even after 2016, this is the first time I have not wanted the season to end. Usually at the end of a season, after we've battled relegation and we've struggled and it's been horrible, I'm just like, oh God, please give me 2 months off, 3 months off. It's a respite, But this time I'm like, who we got next week? Let's go. This is different. The season's over. There's no point in doing this. But do you guys want to talk about Southampton? It was a great game. You guys want to talk about it?
Why the hell not?
Anything to say? Clearly, Southampton looked a little disinterested. The only guy who looked dangerous was that Redmond fella. What's his first name? It's not J.R. Redmond. Like J.R. basketball.
Nathan Redmond?
Yes,
Nathan Redmond?
Yes, Nathan Redmond.
They looked very interested the first 20 minutes.
They did for the first 20 minutes.
That's what I was going to say. Keep going, Lucas.
Yeah, go on, Lucas. Yeah.
Well, I mean, then after that, I don't know. I particularly didn't think we played that great. The result definitely did not speak to me personally, but we got the job done, and that's all that matters.
I mean, yeah, the first goal, a little bit lucky. Keeper parries it away. Fornell's all by himself to put it home. Second one's a nice cross from Soufal, and once the second one went in, I watched with Ken up in New Hampshire, and we felt honestly pretty comfortable. We felt as though we weren't going to have to bite our nails this time. But we needed that win because Tottenham won. Tottenham ended up beating Leicester in a back and forth game. I think they won 4-2, something like that. So went in needing a point, got 3, made it look easy. I mean, what else is there to say? It was fine. It was good enough, and the scoreline flattered us. But who cares?
Yeah.
So now we're facing a lot of stuff, a lot of questions. Europa League draw is in August, all right, late August. So between August 27th and I don't know, but the first match, which is like September, I think. Ooh, that's a big lightning flash. Big lightning flash, David. Big one here.
Yeah, I got one too.
But I haven't heard the thunder. There's the thunder. Oh, it's getting close. Anyway, so I got to figure out how I'm going to get myself to Europe by the end of the year because the group stages end in December, I think. We don't know if we'll go past that or not. So, and I really, really want to go to the away game. But we also have all sorts of other things. We're looking at 1,000 different players, one of whom is Marko Arnautovic again. We are apparently signing David Moyes to, I think, a 3-year contract is what I read. And that, he's going to do an interview or something and announce it on the website. What else is going on? We're looking, Balbuena is going to depart, which I think is kind of a shame, to be honest. Because I like him and I don't really know why we're getting rid of players at all.
His contract's up.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, but surely it couldn't be that hard to, keep him around for cover. But anyway, I understand. Balbuena's leaving. David Martin, of course, I believe is leaving. He's got to have that wonderful legacy of that Chelsea game. It'll, be the highlight of one of my favorite moments as a West Ham fan.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a whole lot of stuff going on, and I feel a little overwhelmed as to kind of what to think about first. So in terms of where we go after this brilliant, fantastic season, what would you like to see happen next? What's
recruitment?
Well, let's talk about that then. Who would you like to recruit? Who's on the top of your list?
We need players at the club urgently, mate. We're running out. Our squad is just too thin on all fronts. Like we need about 6 players, in my opinion.
At least.
I think and that's being kind. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
6 is being generous. Me personally, I want to see 2 strikers at the club because I think with Antonio, you can't rely on him to do a full season, if not anything.
We're not getting Giroud. We're not getting Olivier Giroud. He's gone to AC Milan, and I didn't really want him anyway.
I've been sick of that rumor for the past 5 years.
That's the Eider Gudjonsson rumor, which went around for like 10 years. Or who else was always rumored to come to us?
Baca.
Oh God, the summer of Baca. Yes. Yes. The ones whose name I can't say. Yes. All those guys. So Giroud is off the table. He's gone to Milan, evidently. So I mean, who would you like to see come in at striker, James? You want to see Arnautovic back? We talked about this last week. I know, but it's
not for me, mate. Not for me. He's done his time, mate. Go to China. He ain't going to come back the same player. Not for me. I think there's a list of about 3 or 4 that I'd love at the club. I like Seema, Abraham, Tony, and Adam Armstrong up at Blackburn. I think he's a talent.
Adam Armstrong, I would really like.
So, how much have we seen of Adam Armstrong? You guys tell me. I can't say that I've really watched much of him at all.
I haven't seen anything, but I just read a scouting report of him, and it said that he was good really with positional awareness and was pretty pacey. He could run into good positions. He played in the championship already, so at least he's championship proven. But also that he was pretty good at crossing. He does direct crosses. He doesn't feint and then do deceitful crosses, but he's a very direct player. I think his direct style of play suits David Moyes. So I would want Adam. I would really like if Adam Armstrong signed. I would like a young striker who we could develop. I would like a young striker who would fit into David Moyes' system. I also wouldn't mind Adam Hlojek from Sparta Prague.
Sparta.
Sparta Prague, from what I've read. I would take Slima too. As far as Tammy Abraham goes, I would take him if it was on a loan. If we had to spend too much money in order that affected our other transfers, if we had to spend 40 million for him, I think that's too much. I don't even think we could do that. Yeah. From what news reports have said, our transfer budget is 75 million. So if you spend 40 million on Tammy Abraham, that's already 50% of the budget. Hi, Ray. I would really rather like fill a lot of positions. I agree completely with James. We lack squad depth, so we need to address a lot of positions. I don't think we can splash big on one player.
Is signing Jesse Lingard still a priority for you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, who'd we lose, John? All right, he'll be back hopefully. It is to be too. Now the rumor I've seen, I'm sure you've seen the same thing on social media, is that Moyes will have £75 million plus whatever we get back from player sales, which is going to be minimal. I mean, it can't be more than minimal. I don't know. Again, we don't know how true that is. I have no idea. But you figure that's 3-4 players. That's not more than 3 or 4 players, right? Especially if you're dishing out 25, north of 25 on a striker and 20 on Jesse Lingard. That's half of it right there. So I don't know what's realistic is what I'm saying.
I think Seema is the one that I think is a definitely possibility. We've got connections with Slavia. They like the repayment plan of like over 36 months and things like that.
Put them on layaway. We can put them on layaway like at Kmart in the 70s.
Just like my Best Buy payments. Love it.
I had one of those cards too, Lucas. That's how I bought my.
Oh, that thing still kicks ass. Let me tell you.
That's how I bought my first HDTV. Was with a Best Buy credit card and a bunch of other stuff when I first moved back from France. I put a bunch of stuff on that card. It was interest free for a long time. Anyway,
my God, like 30. I think I'm on like 36 months or something like that, but it's awesome.
No, it's amazing. I got to say, I wish Best Buy would sponsor us so we get paid for this, but I got to say that Best Buy did me a lot of good in my early days of when I came back. All right, keep talking. This is something Danny just sent me. Our friend Danny, who's of course been on the show with us many times. Power rankings top 10. I don't really know what a power ranking is. But look at Thomas Souček right there, coming in right behind Harry Kane, who's soon to be gone from Tottenham. Whatever this means, it seems very impressive. These stats-based power rankings for this Premier League season. I mean, certainly, he's been magnificent, a big part of our success. Actually, that leads me to maybe a better question than recruitment. Who do you think stays? Who are you afraid of losing? Who do you think we could realistically keep? Do we keep Declan for another season? Do we keep Souček for another season? Those are the two guys I'm thinking are probably going to be the most heavily pursued. What do you think our chances are?
I would say, I mean, I think we're all afraid of losing him, but from what we've seen and heard, that's still to be unlikely because people still undervalue Declan Rice. I mean, obviously it's all opinion. Like me personally, I would be devastated if we sold him for anything less than 120, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Like, I would think we're still getting like scammed, but I mean, like I said, everyone's different. But if I had to pick one, I mean, that's tough. I don't think like anyone really fancies our players as much as Souček and Rice. Like, you know what I mean?
Listen, I'm crazy and I'll continue to be crazy. And I'm probably wrong about this because I know there's no loyalty in sport and there probably shouldn't be because players need to do what they need to do. I think Declan Rice wants to stay. I think he likes West Ham. I think he sees that we're building something. I think he likes David Moyes, and I think he wants to stay. Now, if somebody walks in and says 120 million for you, Dec, and we're going to pay you 150K a week, it's going to be hard to turn that down.
My Man United friend asked me that same question the other day. I told him, being truthfully, the only price that I would be happy with selling Declan Rice. Like, I would not be mad or sad the next day. It would be like 150 million pounds.
Yeah, I feel the
Yeah.
same way.
And
No, I do.
that's genuine. Like,
Which we're never
anything
gonna
less
get,
than that,
'cause
I would
that's-
be
yeah.
depressed
I would be disappointed
because I do love the guy.
Now this is interesting, PSG, because I mean, okay, Champions League football and all that, but that league is awful.
So shit.
And they didn't even win it. Ha ha! Well
I
done,
don't-
Lille. Well done, Lille, winning that league again. Fantastic for them. Really proud of them. That's a great blue-collar French city up in the north. Friendly people. It's a very sort of down-to-earth place, so really happy for them.
I wouldn't mind a Kone, whoever that one guy is.
Well, I mean, Souček and first of all, I think Souček and Soufal are like a package deal. I think that's why Souček recruited him to West Ham in the first place. He wanted to play with him. He wants another. Their English is getting better, but it's not great, and they're countrymen. And
Soufal's is surprisingly very good.
Well,
in my opinion,
they speak a lot more English than I do Czech, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think they like to have each other, there, and they talk all the time about how they love being in the Premier League. And I understand that PSG, obviously, that's a Champions League club every season. But again, you got to play your 38 games. You got to go to like Rennes and you got to go to Dijon, and it's just, it's not very sexy. Ligue 1 is not very sexy. Sorry, I say that as somebody who's a fan of a Ligue 1 club.
I just would find it hard to find motivation in that league.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I had a friend I worked with who, after I lived in France, who was a big PSG guy, and every week in the league, he would just expect them to win. Like there was no joy. You know what I mean? Even when they played Marseille or Saint-Etienne or any of their old rivals, I mean, they're supposed to win every single week. They're supposed to win, and there's kind of there's no joy in that. And I think Soufal and Souček, I think they like being together, and they seem to love the bright lights of the Premier League, because the French league, nobody pays attention to it. It's only Champions League where PSG gets any attention. Everything else, nobody cares. Everybody expects them to win. Of course, I could be wrong. Again, PSG walks in and says, walks in with that dirty oil money and says, "Oh, hey, well, it is dirty." They have some of the worst owners, but anyway, because I think they're owned by the Qataris, if I'm not mistaken. Literal slave owners, but if they walk in and say, "Oh, hey, 100 million for you, Thomas," and again, 150K a week, well, it's going to be hard to say no. We can't match that. But I don't think. But let me just put it this way: I don't think guys are itching to leave us right now. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference between this season and the Payet season, when all summer we asked ourselves, "Is he staying? Is he going? What's he going to do?"
And if we're going off that, like, I think there's only two players I think that might be itching to leave. Actually, no, three. Yarmolenko, after there's a little like clip of him at the end of the game about to come in and the game ends, and he's just like, "All right."
Yeah.
I would say Yarmolenko, Lanzini, and Felipe Anderson probably.
Yeah.
But again, like, it's not very significant to us.
Anderson, I don't care about at all. Yarmolenko, I mean, for depth, sure, keep him around for depth if he's in contract, but if he leaves, it's not going to really hurt us. And Lanzini, I'm wearing my Lanzini shirt from the Payet season now. Obviously a great servant for many years. We know he's never going to be the same. He's going to have to switch to a defensive midfield position, which is useful. But again, I'm not crushed if Lanzini goes. However, and James, I know you guys talked about this earlier today. Tommy was talking about this. How about the argument that we shouldn't get rid of anybody because our squad is so thin that we need them all in 4 competitions next season? 2 cups, the league and Europa League.
No, we've got to get rid of Yarmolenko, mate. This it's time. It's thanks for the memories, but it's time to say it's time to say goodbye, mate.
Thanks for the one memory, the goal against Chelsea last season, which is the one memory I have of him, basically. Yeah,
Rudiger's still shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Rudiger just stood there and let him have the shot from the left foot. I don't think he knew he was left-footed, right?
I honestly think, mate, you could take him out and put Odebekiu there, and he could do a better job. So to me, you got 100K sitting there a week plus.
It's a big salary. That's true.
And I'd rather see Nathan Holland get a shot or something. Honestly.
Yeah, or you got Meepo kind of looked as though maybe he needed to go on loan, but if we need him, we need him. You're right.
He does need to go on loan, but
yes.
Really. But if you're saying about Yarmolenko staying, the most I've seen that man do this year is when he was supposed to come on as a sub against West Brom.
Yep, that was the one.
And that was the best bit of movement he's done all season. You know what I mean? So that turn and
the camera moved right to him. He just, all right, head back to the tunnel.
Yeah.
I would also say that if you want players who you can play in Europa League and have a full squad and not be stretched thin, you wouldn't want players who are very injury prone, and Lanzini is very injury prone. What's the use of Lanzini? You can't put him in the Europa League tie if he's injured.
Right. And that's why, Lee, your earlier question, I was going to say, I think our transfer window solely lies on, or to me, non-successful window. If we can get Tammy Abraham on a loan to buy, that will be probably the biggest part of our transfer window to me. Because if we can get him on a loan to buy and then spread that money out on 6 or 7 players to fill positions, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I would love Tammy Abraham. I mean, how do you guys feel? By the way, John has a crying baby, so he's got to go take care of his baby. That's why he's not here. What a man. What do you? Well, he's doing what he has to do. I know how he feels. I've been there. I've done it. Charlie Walsh might start crying here in a minute, but I'll have to go offline with him. So yeah, no, it's hard. I know it's hard.
I'm thinking about Iceland some more.
Mad thing.
I know. It's very close to you. I can tell.
It is. I'm honorary Icelandic. I will say 100% agree with both James and your boy Lucas there as well. I think Yarmolenko is the one person who I think is dispensable. Anyone else, I would be concerned about losing. Yarmolenko is the one guy, and it's not even because I don't like him. I actually really like Yarmolenko. I think he's really, really talented. Like as a footballer, woof, my lord, that man is very good. But it's
really.
Yarmolenko, yeah.
Are you sure we're talking about the same guy?
When he has the ball at his feet,
Ukrainian guy, blonde guy.
Yeah.
Good looking too.
He's handsome man.
I like it. Yeah.
He's terrible on defense. He's terrible.
Oh, yeah. I agree. That's He
doesn't track back at all.
This is what I'm saying. He's like one of the few players where I'm like, it just is what it is. He's on such high wages, and we won't get anything for him. That's the thing. It's not a Declan Rice situation or Suchek.
He's no Hugo, but I rate him.
Right, yeah, exactly. I do genuinely think he's really good on the ball, but it's just
he says he's not good in our system, and I do think James is right. I don't think he really wants to be here anymore, and so let him go. I mean, fine. But the question is, okay, here's the thing. It's strictly in terms of numbers, though. I mean, you sell Yarmolenko, you sell Lanzini, you sell Anderson. I think Balbuena's contract is up anyway. We don't get anything off.
That would take us down to like 22 squad players, I think. I think we had 26 this year.
Can we make up the numbers if we let all these guys go? Can we financially make up the numbers and improve the squad?
I don't think Lanzini goes myself. I think he's done enough to stay for another year. I think Yarn will go. Anderson, it's a tough one with Anderson because on the one hand, you've got a great player there, and who can get, if you can get the best out of him, he's a decent talent. On the other hand, you've got no sell-on value. Who's going to buy him? So
yeah, exactly. Like why get rid of? I feel the same way. Why get rid of Lanzini and Anderson if they only give you 15-20 million? To me, that's just not really. I'd rather have them for depth and compete
because they did. Now somebody mentioned it earlier. They have high wages. They both have pretty high wages. I know Lanzini has high wages, so there is a money-saving element to it there. I wouldn't get rid of Lanzini because I think he could slot into that defensive midfield position when he needs to, the way he did against Burnley. The problem is it's a lot of money to pay for somebody who's going to slot in once in a while.
That's the other thing about Yarmolenko compared to Lanzini is Yarmolenko can only really play one role.
Right.
Like
right.
he's got his right winger thing going on, and that's it.
Like, and that's the role of Sweetheart. Look at that man! Wow,
Mama, there goes that man.
He is attractive. Look at the dip in the hair. I mean, that's a good-looking guy. Yes.
Lee, we would all look like that, mate. If we was on 100K a week, not doing nothing for the bench.
Yeah, I would take 100K a year. 100K a week would be even better.
I think Charlie looks the closest to Yarmolenko.
Well, I've never wanted to say.
I think it's Lee personally.
I've never wanted to say anything, but there's a reason Charlie's on here almost every week. You know what I mean? So anyway,
it's because I bring the 10-minute distractions of Eurovision.
It's because
get our watch time up.
It's because you're willing to do it. That's why. It's because you're awake at 2 a.m. and you have nothing better to do. No, but
you're not wrong.
But I mean, so the question to me is, what I'm looking at is just purely making up numbers. We need numbers, right? If we have 75 million pounds, and you're talking about Lingard is going to be in the neighborhood of 20 in all likelihood. You're talking about bringing in a striker. You're not going to spend less than 20 on a striker, I don't think. And probably more like 30, 35 to get somebody decent. That's a big chunk of your budget right there. Yeah. Then you're talking about a keeper. You're talking about a left back. You're talking about another defensive midfielder. Then you start talking about, well, Yarmolenko's going and Lanzini's going. And we're pretty solid defensively. Balbuena's going. I mean, I don't know how we get just the sheer numbers into the club. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that the money's there, which is why I don't know if it makes sense for these guys to leave.
The best way of doing this is basically, if I said to everyone right now, that you got £70 million to spend, and you've got to bring in 4 players and 2 loans. Who would your 4 players and 2 loans be for a £70 million budget? Now, to me, for a goalkeeper, you could go and loan Ariola for a season with a future perm next season.
Right.
Or a Sam Johnson.
Just so I can get his name on a shirt. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Sam. I'm not a fan of Sam Johnson.
I don't think he's that good either. Everybody's all excited about that.
I only rate him. I only rate him based off the fact that, just like Fabianski, that season where he was just getting it was Swansea. That year at Swansea, he was just getting absolute shit on, but he had the most saves in the league, and then he comes over, does a job. That's practically my only reasoning as to why I wouldn't mind him.
I watched him against us, and I wasn't a fan at all. I thought he was all over the place.
I'm with you, James. I'm with you. I don't understand the excitement over him. I don't get it at all. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
So
if we look at it like this, then right, and I'll ask everyone, right? You got a £70 million budget. How would you work a £70 million budget in your favour to get the best out of it? And we've got to get Lingard in there and all summer.
Right.
Here's how I would answer it.
Okay.
I think we're saying we can't get anything for Lanzini, for Yarmolenko, for Balbuena. We're going to get far below market value, and that's fine because we have to make it add up. Let's say we get $8 million for Yarmolenko, Dynamo Kiev. $8 million for Lanzini from I don't know who. And these are minimums too.
Yeah.
I think we could get 9 to 12 for some of the players. We get $8 million for a Serie A club to where he's more suited from Balbuena. That's already $24 million. We can add on to that.
Is Balbuena out of contract though?
He's out of contract.
He's out of contract.
Balbuena's out of contract. So we'll just shed his wages.
Right.
But
right.
So let's say we added only $15 million from those 2 player sales, right. Yarmolenko and Lanzini. Then it adds up to $90 million. So we go 18 million, Adam Hlojek. We've got 1 striker. Then we do, let's say it's 23 million, Jesse Lingard. That's 41 million. We still have 59 million left. We get Alex Kral, which was already shouted on the comments.
Yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah,
that's
like
only
15 million.
That's only 18. That's only 18 million. For left back, we get I've lost track of the numbers, people, but I'm just still thinking about. Then we get Firpo from Barcelona, who's really unproven at left back, but hey, we need that position. That I think that they're saying that's only 15 to 18 million. And then we get a center back. I have no idea that is, but by my weird numbers, I think we still have 23 million left over. We get Tarkowski for 23 million. We could do all that. And then we could still probably get Sander Berge. We could do all that with the money. Would be my plan.
That I mean, it fills our holes, David, don't you think? I mean, it fills the gaps, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I still think we probably won't get Firpo from Barcelona. I think that's just like an early rumor, but I think we can get fullbacks are cheap. I think we could get a left back for 15 to 18 million. I don't think that's crazy.
To answer James's question, I won't name players just because obviously it could be anyone, but I would, with that budget, I would buy a striker, loan a striker, buy a left back, buy a center back, buy a midfielder.
What about
I agree though with James,
goalkeeper? Sorry,
second striker, and I don't know if we can afford that.
So how much for Tammy Abraham? What are we talking about for costs on Tammy Abraham? Somebody asked this question earlier.
He's not worth 40 million. I know that.
No.
Yeah, I agree. He's not worth 40 million.
It depends what you can define as worth. He's not talented enough to be 40 million pounds, but is he worth 40 million?
With our budget, I don't think he's worth it.
No. Again, I don't think he's worth 40 million for us. Or actually, that's a lie. He could be worth 40 million for us down the line, but it would be a huge investment to make right now in our.
That's why a loan to buy for him would be absolutely ginormous for us, because that would just get us everything else we need, and then.
Do you think though, Charlie, his value to the player is worth that? Like, do you say when you look at him, do you think, damn, that's a 40 million pound player right there?
That's what you need right there.
Not necessarily, but again, you're paying for potential. That's kind of where the value is coming from. It's right now, this second. If he was 28, no, you wouldn't. Or if he was 27, you wouldn't spend 40 million on him. But
now I'm curious, Novelist, tell us why you feel this way. Sorry, guys, tell us why you feel this way. All right. Tell us again another.
So the thing is, Tabby Abraham, right? Is he's got an incredible goal scoring record wherever he goes. Even at Chelsea in his first season, and to an extent, not so much his second season, but parts of it. Like, he's been really, really good, and like there's talent is there for you to see, but it's certainly a situation where it has to be refined and it has to be worked upon to a point where you're like, okay, you can get this out of him consistently, and I think there is a full possibility that you can do that. So when you're spending the 40 million, you're saying, actually, that talent, the valuation of 40 million happens in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. But you have to ask yourself whether A, you want someone who you're willing to build up. You have to ask yourself, B, is that person going to work in David Moyes' system? Because that's another key factor. If you're trying to build someone, if you're trying to buy someone with potential, they have to fit the person who's going to be managing them for the next 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, what's the point? And then C, you have to say, okay, if we buy him for 40 million now, because we say there is potential for him to be 40 million in 2 to 3 years, and we're looking to sell him, we have to be making profit. What's the point in buying him for 40 million now and selling him for 40 million?
Let me ask you this, Charlie. Yeah, if you had a choice between Seema, who's 19. And you've got Tammy Abraham, you'd have Abraham over Seema.
Yeah, every time.
Abraham's 23, so he's young.
I love the idea of getting Seema, and like I love the idea of going to buy players who are like the next great things is very exciting. But
this goal scoring record is very solid. I've got to say, this is very solid.
He's got a really decent goal scoring record. Basically,
he's still one of the top goal scorers for Chelsea this year, and he hasn't played in God knows how long.
Yeah,
there were Chelsea fans asking him to start in the last games of the season. They felt like that could have been the difference for them.
Like, is it 3? I don't know, man.
I think 23.
He's tempting. He's 23.
23. I still think is young enough that, like, say if we did pay 40, which I really hope to God we don't. Like, would it be the worst thing in the world? No, but I would say 80% of us would not like it.
I think it's an attitude thing with him. That's the reason why people are a bit like that. They think, you know what, his attitude, is he going to think he's bigger than us, so to speak? If he signs for us, for instance.
You know what? Okay. 2 things on that. 2 thoughts on that, if you don't mind. First of all, I think that, and they're related thoughts. I think David Moyes has been really good about bringing this team together, bringing players together who maybe were not, initially very excited about playing with each other. They all seem to be on the same page now. They all seem to be, going after a common goal. Plus, I don't think Moyes would bring somebody in who was going to wreck the clubhouse or the change or whatever you want to call it. You know, wreck the
The
team.
dressing room.
The dressing room, yeah, the changing room, whatever you want to call it. Clubhouse it's a baseball thing. Anyway, I don't think Moyes would bring somebody in who was gonna wreck the esprit de corps of the team. You know, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
but it's like anything though, Lee. He's done very well with his signings. Don't get me wrong, and I understand that, but we do need a striker now. If we was to go and sign Abraham, when I look at Lingard, don't think he's bigger than West Ham. He's enjoyed it because Lingard was going nowhere at Man United, and West Ham's reformed him as a player. Do you know what I'm saying? So when you look at Abraham, if we sign Abraham and he comes to us, I think he's got the attitude where he doesn't see his future at West Ham. It's like a stepping stone. Whereas Lingard,
the thing is, I'll say this: I've never seen anything to suggest Tammy Abraham has a bad attitude. If anything, I've only seen things about him having good attitudes. He's consistently been going out on loan to Chelsea for years.
But Kieran's saying the same thing. There's got to be something to this, Charlie, because Kieran is saying the same thing, independent of all of us.
Lee, we've had enough conversations to where we know that maybe judging what the public thinks in general is maybe not as smart as
I was going to say
all
that.
Right. That's true. But let me just say this: it doesn't seem totally. There's a seed that somebody has planted somewhere.
I think partly it's one of those things where something gets said and it gets said enough times, so it's kind of true. I've never he's someone who's gone out on loan consistently from Chelsea for years and has always put in everything. He's always tried to become the best player at that club. Always put in the maximum effort. It doesn't matter whether it was flipping Bristol City or whether it was whoever it was. Right? He's always done it, and even at Chelsea, he's sort of had to take a step back and play that second role. And I think anyone in that position would be rightly annoyed. But even then, there's not been big rumours about him kicking up all of these fusses and having all of this.
Yeah, but he ain't going to, is he, though, Charlie? Let's be honest. He ain't going to cause a fuss in a team which is fighting.
Why would he cause a fuss here? Do you know what I mean? I think anyone coming in, again, David Moyes is the sort of person, and I don't want to say like David Moyes is the solution to this because I don't think he is, but David Moyes is the sort of person who we had this conversation the other day, James, about the idea of he goes, if you're coming in, you're not guaranteed game time, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm not saying he wouldn't sign someone who wouldn't kick up a fuss, but these are the exact same things that happened with Jesse Lingard before he came here. And there's been there's been no signs of Jesse Lingard getting all pissed off now because he's played every game and everything else. But I think people are looking at it maybe I just don't see it. I just don't see it. There's no proof of it happening. Tammy Abraham is one of those guys. And I think you have to be realistic enough as well. He's a player, he's 23, like you say, which isn't the youngest. It's young, but it's not the youngest. But he knows that he needs to make a statement. He's not going to stay at Chelsea to make that statement because it's just not going to happen for him. Sure, he might magically become first choice next season, but who's he going to play ahead of? Werner? There's also rumours Chelsea are interested in Harry Kane, which means they're at least interested in more strikers.
And you know how they are, Charlie. They have unlimited money. They can buy anybody they want.
Yeah,
they're not. We know how they treat their young players. They send them off on loan, and they bring in top dollar players to play in the first team. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. And so I listen. I mean, to be honest, it's not as though I've scouted this guy. I just look at these numbers and I say to myself, that's a really impressive goal scoring record. A really impressive goal scoring record everywhere he's been. And if you're a second choice striker at say Chelsea, right? So a team who, their finish wasn't significantly better than ours, but let's be real. I don't think that's going to repeat next season, by the way, but let's just take it for what it was. If you're the guy's second choice there and in order to get into the England squad in future, in order to reach your potential, you have to be playing game time. Are you going to stick around at Chelsea where you're not going to get it? Or do you say, actually, West Ham are a team who are on up. I know for a fact I'm probably going to be first choice. Even though Antonio's there, man's going to be injured for a quarter of the season anyway. So that's a quarter of the games. And he's 31 years old. Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree, though, Charlie? But wouldn't you agree, though, there could be better options than West Ham? I.e. Leicester, Tottenham if Kane goes.
Well,
that's what I was going to say, James. And teams who could afford his wages, right? It's $150,000 a week. Is that correct? What are his wages? Sorry,
well,
I don't know if they're that
I'm
high.
not sure, but it's probably not far off of that. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not that, it wouldn't be far off it. I agree. Leicester won't be looking for him. Leicester don't need a striker. They've got Vardy and Iniacho's finally come through for them, so they've got that sorted. Tottenham are the ones I would be considered about. Because I sort of low key seeing them. I don't know if you go to Tottenham, but thinking about it at least. But at the same time, again, it's about saying you're going to be the guy here. You know,
Right.
if Tottenham sell Harry Kane, and yeah, sure, you'll be first choice. But at the same time, they could also bring in another striker, and you all of a sudden won't be again.
I think it's huge that Declan Rice and Jesse Lingard are in the England team, at least the provisional England team for the Euros. Declan's kind of an obvious choice. I think the fact that Lingard has worked his way back in after coming to West Ham is huge, enormous for us, because it shows that you can get in. I know it's not the final selection yet, but he's in that provisional team.
And it's huge for potential signings.
Right. We're in Europa League, plus Jesse Lingard has shown, hey, you can get into the England team after you come to West Ham, as a West Ham player, right? Not after you leave, but after you come to West Ham. I think that's really big. So, I mean, in that sense, you know,
what would your cap be, Lee? What would be your cap to spend on him?
I mean, I think it depends. Talking about what David just went through here a few minutes ago, talking about what our budget is and how much we can allocate to each player in different positions. I hate to see us spend more than 30 or 35 million on any player right now. I mean, maybe that's not enough. I don't know, but our 40 million plus players have not worked out for us very well for the most part. And if our budget really is, if we have 100 million pounds to spend, which would be the 75 we've heard about, plus approximately 15 or so on sales, I'd like to see Lingard come in for 20. I mean, I'd hate to see half of it or more than half of it go to two players when we need like 6.
I agree.
Do you know what I mean? That's my issue. So 30, 35, and I don't think I would go beyond that. 40 million sounds like too much to me.
How would you do it, Charlie, with regards to the budget, considering what we need?
Oh, I don't believe that's our budget. Just to be clear.
Well, that's another point, Charlie. It may be totally made up. That's a Claret and Hugh story.
Yeah, that is
it may be total bullshit.
That is
as we all
butter
know.
up.
It could be total bullshit.
Okay, if we're going to very touch on Claret and Hugh, they were saying 75, then they were saying it was going to be more, it's going to be 85. Then the next thing they said is that Sullivan's no longer a billionaire or he's lost a lot of money or whatever, so all of a sudden he's less money. Like, they chat nonsense, bro. They're just putting out every single angle on every single story. So
I threw that number out because it's the only baseline number I've seen anybody give.
True.
You know what I mean? But it could be nothing.
I think it's closer to like 50 max.
It's going to have to be something reasonable, though, Charlie. Surely, with the Europa League money and all.
Yeah, you know these owners, James. They're not going to reinvest it.
I think I think James, it will be more. It will be more than it would have been otherwise. But what it would have been otherwise still could have been like nothing. Like there's obviously more to play with. But like the 75 number, for example. I mean, once you get to those sort of numbers anyway, it's also transient. It changes and ebbs and flows with everything. It's not really like. It's
so
not
what do you think we need though, Charlie? What do you think we need with whatever budget we get?
We need one striker. We need one left back. We need probably at this point a centre back and potentially probably a centre mid.
And you're just saying signings or loans as well, just signings. I'm
just saying the sort of positions we need to bring in first choice, sort of like the first choice, the sort of priorities we need to bring in. You know, if you're talking like, I don't really care how we do it, to be honest with you. Like in my head, my first choice striking option, for example, is Ivan Toney, right? I love that. Now, I think potentially, probably, I hope for Brentford's sake they come up because I do love Brentford, so I really hope they get.
And they haven't been up since 1947. It'd be great for them as a club.
Yeah, and I've got a soft spot for Brentford. I went there as a kid, so I love Brentford. Right. But if they don't come up, then Tammy Abraham's my first. Then Ivan Toney's my first choice, and it would be a case of going to buy him. But if it's if it's Tammy Abraham, then it's a loan to buy, and that's the sort of thing I would much more prefer with him. But that's just because that defers that budget, because we do need so many different pieces right now. And I don't think we have so much budget that in order to maximize that, a loan to buy for the biggest player would make the most sense.
I was also going to ask this quick question since we were talking about Tammy Abraham and you just mentioned Ivan Toney. I was going to ask, would you rather like say we do a loan to buy 40 million for Tammy Abraham, or we could get Ivan Toney for 30. Me personally, I'd rather get Ivan Toney because I find I find the aspect of a hungry championship striker more appealing than, let's say, Tammy Abraham, who I won't say he's not established by any means yet, but like
he scored a lot of Premier League goals though, Lucas. I mean,
if he wanted to though, he could just like kind of coast. You know what I mean?
The only fear, Lucas, the only fear with that is that the fact that Tony hasn't done it in the Prem. Don't get me wrong.
No, that's true. That's the only thing for me.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Tammy Abraham steps into our team, steps into our side, and immediately becomes our best striker. With all due respect to Mikel Antonio, I love Mikel Antonio. I do. We all know the situation with him. Tammy Abraham steps in. He's just like Jesse Lingard. He steps in. He immediately becomes our best striker. Jesse Lingard stepped in. He immediately became our best attacking.
Does he fit our system though? Does he fit our system?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I feel like that's a good point, John.
That's a good point.
Like Tammy does. I feel like Tony could. When I watch Ivan Toney, I feel like he has what it takes to fill it, but it wouldn't be an instant drop in and go. Tammy Abraham, I feel like does.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ivan Toney that much, but from what I understand, he's good at positioning. But he's in between the posts. He's not a run onto the ball on the counterattack type striker like David Moyes likes. I could be wrong about that just because I don't watch any Brentford matches, but that's my understanding of his style of play.
What it is with Tony is he's got untold amount of potential, and he's just scored 31 goals in the Championship. Now, to score 10 goals in the Championship is hard enough, but to go and score 31 is like that's very high figures. I think he's a talent, Tony, but would I?
And he's 25.
He's older. He's older than Tammy Abraham.
I'm not arguing he wouldn't be good at another team. I'm arguing he might not fit in David Moyes' system.
Right.
Both.
Not only that, it's the Benrahma effect, right? Benrahma, I think, had a good season for us, right? But a lot of people were disappointed in him because they thought he was going to come in and be another Payet. That was never a fair comparison to make. Benrahma was coming into the Championship. He's still relatively young. I know he didn't score a lot of goals, but I thought he played well for us, and I think he's going to get better. And I thought I was pleased with him this season, to be honest. Ivan Toney, the same idea. It's the same idea. He's going to come out of the Championship. People are going to expect 25 goals. He's not going to score that many goals. He's going to score like 8 or 10 if he stays healthy, because it's a big step up. It just is. We saw that with Benrahma. It's a big step up. We're not going to
score 25 goals. Again, that's the thing we always talk about.
You mean all season?
Idea of like, no. Of course we will all season. I don't mean us that West Ham. All right, sorry, clumsily worded. Allow me to be worded. Although maybe, who knows? We don't have 2 good seasons in a row. We all know these things. But what I would say is this: we always talk about this idea of this like mystical 20-goal a season striker as if that's a thing that exists, whereas it doesn't really. I think
no, it doesn't. I don't think it does.
We don't play a system designed for one player to score 25 goals. Because frankly, we don't score a huge amount. We do when we're on it, but we don't always like come out and swing it. It's not Manchester City. It's not Leicester, for example. We play very attacking.
And we've never had strikers who have scored goals, Charlie. I mean, I say never. Not in the last 30 years.
It shouldn't be a case. We shouldn't be looking at I guess what I'm trying to say is it's like we shouldn't be looking at a striker and judging him by his goals. I think in the system we play, especially, we should be looking at a striker and judging him by his goal contributions. Saying, okay,
I'd rather see 20 goal contributions.
I totally agree, Charlie. I totally agree.
Here's a guy who can, like, especially when we're playing counter-attacking, and most of the time it ends up with 2 to 3 people forward at any one time, and that's about it, right? Sometimes only 2. A striker's ability to assist is also just as important as a striker's ability to score, and like. I feel like when we look at it and we go, how many goals are they going to get? Of course, obviously, if you go and buy a striker who has 0 goals, expect an L. But like, also we should be looking at it as a more overall package and not just at the end of the day.
In your opinion, what sort of goal scorer striker would be satisfying? Because, like you say, you can't have no goals, but then you got to have.
But this is kind of why, this is why I'm so high on Ivan Toney, even though I don't think Ivan Toney is someone you drag and you just lob in Mikel Antonio's position and it works perfectly. And it's because I don't actually think there's anyone who really fits that mold. Mikel Antonio is such a unique, cobbled together Frankenstein footballer that there's no one who really matches him. And I'm not talking about levels of ability, because I feel like Loki, I probably match levels of ability, but there's something about the way he plays.
You got to stop saying that. He's a good footballer, Charlie. Stop that.
He's not. No, but the point I'm making is
You think Yarmolenko has talent and Antonio doesn't? You are indicting yourself,
Yarmolenko
my friend.
1v1 Mikel Antonio destroys that man. And
well, who plays 1v1? It's 11v11.
Destroy Antonio more than Antonio destroyed that guy.
I don't care.
The point Charlie is making is he wants Sebastian Haller back at the club.
Of course, I always do. But I said this on, actually, to be fair, I said this on Hammers Polls with James the other day when we did a video together. Like, I love Sebastian Haller, but it's not going to work out with David Moyes. It's fine. I move. What I'm saying is Mikel Antonio has such a cobbled together sense of attributes of like his pace, his strength, his like natural wingedness, because that's what he is. He's a winger. He moves like a winger, and he doesn't have like the intelligence of a striker. It's more Antonio I trust in front of goal when he has no time to think about it. I just want him ideally to have one touch of the ball and that's it. That's all I want him to kick it into the goal, nothing else. And every other striker you have who you put in that position, no one is like that, because realistically that's not what strikers. He's not a striker.
Like watching this year, I do hate to say it because he did piss me off a lot when Pellegrini was here, but Javier Hernandez this year could have maybe done little bits.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. I thought so too. Yeah.
And this is the thing. So when we look at, say, Tony, I look at Tony and I think this guy has all of the raw attributes to play the system and the style that Mikel Antonio plays, but also he's capable of kicking a ball into the net. But he has like all of the bits. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he has a great goal scoring record. He has that sort of like Mikel Antonio wants it more. And
we need a poacher, in my opinion. We need a poacher.
We need Adama Traore. He's the only player like Antonio.
I feel this, John. That's exactly how I feel. We need Adama Traore because Charlie, as you said, Antonio is unique. He's big. He's strong. He's quick. He's not fast per se, but he's quick when he needs to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when he runs at defenders, he terrifies them. He's a charging bull. He's like that Schlitz malt liquor bull used to bust through the walls. In those
it's like Bo Jackson running at you.
Yeah, it's like Bo Jackson. Exactly. It's like Bo Jackson or Ironhead Hayward. Big thighs like the size of my torso.
He gets he runs through people. He runs through people, but he misses so many chances here. Like this is a player.
Of course, because he's not a striker. He's not a striker.
This is exactly what I'm saying. So we need to find an out-and-out, actual, natural-born striker who has as many of those attributes as we can find.
Charlie,
good luck.
I mean, back in the 90s, we would have said you've got to be in the position to miss them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Antonio isn't in the position. He keeps going out wide across the ball like a maniac. It's like, bro, just stay in the middle for 5 seconds.
It's about having.
Well, that's fair, but I think it's one of those things where it's like Antonio's strengths, and the reason he works in Moyes' system is because he was a winger. So he has that pace and that strength to where you can just boot it long and he will get on the end of it because he's stronger than people, he's faster than people, and he will do it. Now, what he does when he gets the ball at the other end is a completely different story, but he will do that. And that's kind of why he works. I agree with you, like John, wholeheartedly. Like it's an old cliche to say you have to be in the right position. And I always bring up the Gary Lineker interview because it's always in my head. But the one where he was at Barcelona and the interview goes, why did you score so many goals? How were you always in the right place at the right? How did you get into the right place at the right time? And he said, well, if you're just there all the time, then when the ball finally comes there, then you can score. Like you have to have that. But that's the difference between Antonio and an actual striker is he doesn't do it at any sort of consistent, like he can do it and he has done it. And his pace and his power allow him to sort of do it more frequently than he probably should because he doesn't have the footballing, senses of like, say, Aguero who's on the screen, right? Aguero, he knows where the ball's going to be and it's not going to happen. Antonio fumbles his way into these positions because of his pace and his power, and that's great. So we need to get a striker who has that natural raw talent of the pace and the power and everything else, but also will just stay in the middle sometimes.
And Ivan Toney's that guy. Ivan Toney's that guy.
Personally, I think he is, and he's nowhere near the finished article. He's nowhere near the finished article. There is a risk about the jump up, as James has said about he's not proven at this level. There's lots of downsides to it. Oh my god, yes,
would be. Yes. That's just a steamroller.
No passing whatsoever. There's no assist, but I would love it.
Listen, the EU would ban them from Europe. All right, they wouldn't be able to cross into because they would just be too powerful.
They'd be useless in front of goal, I must admit.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Joy don't score. And
But
true.
shit,
That's
they'd be so fun to watch in the open field.
Oh, that'd be so. But that astronaut, West Ham Clips astronaut would get a lot of action off of those guys. Yeah, I mean,
I wonder what he would call Adama Traore.
Oh, I don't know. He's always got good names for everybody. Yeah, he's always got. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Mark Henry's just a classic.
I wonder if we're. I mean, if Antonio's clearly not going to play 38 Premier League games, X number of Europa League games, etc. I mean, are we going to have to change our tactics? Are we going to have to change our formation?
Do you know, I just thought of something. I just want to ask you this quickly. Right?
Yeah.
If Antonio doesn't play as a striker and Jared Bowen ends up becoming the new striker, if West Ham went and bought Seamer, who could play on the right, Jared Bowen could potentially be the new striker at the club.
Bowen's nowhere near good enough to play up front.
You don't think so? Yeah.
He scored 8 goals.
Yeah, I don't think he's nowhere good enough. I just prefer him in an emergency leading the line. I don't want him as the leading the line in Europa League striker.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little 2 goals less than Antonio.
He's a little
inconsistent
for me.
Let me put it's the inconsistencies, and like you look at him and it's like you don't feel like, or at least I feel like I can't rely on that person to do that. Antonio, I can rely to do the same thing over and over again because he can't do anything else. But Bowen, I don't look at him, and it's what David said. I just don't look at him and go, "This is a guy who should be leading our line." I like him in the squad,
and I also don't think that plays to his strengths. Sorry, Charlie. I also think one aspect of Jared Bowen's game that is like so underrated: how many fouls he earns. How many fouls he earns on that right wing. With his pace going, I also think kind of when we're bogged down, he earns a lot of fouls. Also, when we're playing a free-flowing game, he earns a lot of fouls. I think people are underrating him, the space he creates on that right wing when he plays on the right wing, and I think he can fill in an emergency and striker. But I think his ability to win a free kick for us on the right flank is underrated.
Let me tell you, after a picture I saw of Benteke in the gym with the iron emoji, I'd rather see Bowen up top all day long.
Yeah, did you guys see the Benteke picture?
Someone mentioned that in the comments, and literally I just went like this. I'll see
if I can find it. I don't have any interest in him at all. I'm sorry. What? Anybody here want to see Benteke at West Ham?
No.
Fuck no.
No, absolutely not.
But if David Moyes wants him, maybe.
My tip.
I'll trust David Moyes.
This is the part of my brain that's broken. I wanted to say yes and try and make an argument just for the drama, but I can't. He's not good. He's not good.
No, I can't. I want to stay very far away from that, but he did. He had a picture of himself. He put an Instagram photo out today. I don't know. I'll see if I look for it anyway. And he's got the crossed hammers emoji thing in it, and it's randomly. I don't know why it's there. Maybe it's just to symbolize that he's working out. I don't know. I have no idea.
What about Lacazette from Arsenal on a free?
All day.
Well, we've been linked with him for years, so we might as well, right? At some point.
That's another one we forgot.
Yeah. Is he?
Yeah, his contract's going to the end. I don't think he's signed a new one.
Look, he's the truth. The unfortunate truth is he's way out of our reach. He'll go to someone maybe significantly better. But listen, if he was like West Ham, what are we saying? The answer is yes, every day of the week. Yeah, and twice on Sundays. I'm good with that. I'm all good with that. But he's too he's too far away, unfortunately. He wasn't at one point, and we didn't stump up the cash, and now he isn't. Yeah.
What about Origi at Liverpool?
I'd take him.
Yeah, I'd consider it.
Honestly, James, don't you think all these guys? I mean, let's just be perfectly honest, all right? And I don't want to disrespect Mikel Antonio because I do love him. I love his service. I love Mikel Antonio. He's one of my favorite players of all time. It's just that all these strikers we're mentioning, every single one of them, except Benteke, walks into our club and immediately becomes the best striker of the club. Right? I mean, which one of them doesn't? Don't they all? I think they do.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
you asked the question, would I take him? Yeah, I'd take them all or any of them. So here's Benteke with his. You can see it, he's got the little. Israeli Hammer says, not in your lifetime.
Have you ever seen a man look so out of place? He just looks uncomfortable, doesn't he? He just doesn't look like.
You've never seen me in a gym, then, Charlie. You've never seen me in a gym. You watch me looks out of place.
He looks like me, Chadwell Heath, mate. They have not got windows and lights like that.
I was going to say that's not Chadwell Heath.
I've been in Chadwell Heath's flipping gym bit, and it is not like, I tell you what, it's not like that. Flipping, he looks like I do when I take selfies, just awkward and uncomfortable and not happy to be doing it whatsoever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I like how his shirt's tucked in.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
Proper lad.
Let's go back for a second here. Yeah,
I will give you a name of a player that I think is a realistic.
Why does he have his shirt tucked in?
Is literally
it's like if my dad was at the gym. Look
at the shirt tucked in thing has
shirt.
endeared him to me quite a lot. I can't lie to you. It looks like the PE teachers just told him off and told him to tuck it in.
I bet he wears socks with sandals, doesn't he?
100%.
Why has he done this?
10,000%.
And by the way, how do you get the emoji down here like that? Like, how did you get it down there? It's down in the. I mean, how did you do that?
You drag your finger down.
Really? See, I don't do fancy stuff in my Instagram picture. Okay, I you know what I mean? I'm not like some sort of communist. I don't do fancy stuff. He's got this. Okay, but yeah, I mean,
kids talking emojis now.
I know they do. This is a terrible picture. Sorry. This is a really awful. I mean, the tucked in shirt and just the awkward pose.
I'm changed. I've gone full at 180. We're here. Benteke, what's the reason for this photo? Get him in. This is the guy.
Yeah, and then he's just dropped this in, just like he just drops it. It's like
he's done it. It's the worst. Look, he's dragged it down, but it's so camouflaged among everything else.
What
are you doing, my dude?
Is it there? Why not put it like here or here? I mean, I don't know, somewhere else.
I love this so much. I'm gonna follow Benteke.
Put it like up here. You know what I mean? Like, what is the significance of it? I have no idea. But his shirt is tucked, and it's got a little bunch over here. So he's got, you know what I mean? So it's not evenly tucked.
Look at those scenic views in the background. That's definitely not Chadwell Heath, is it? It'd be a box of powers out back.
No, Chadwell Heath has got, Chadwell Heath is like dumpsters.
And cement walls.
There's like dumpsters and crack whores behind Chadwell Heath, as far as I know. Charlie's been there. He can tell us for sure. But
they local.
Yeah,
I don't like.
They definitely don't.
That's where they found. That's where they found Savio after he went missing. It was just like, he was just like lighting up a spoon behind Chadwell. He's like, come on. Yeah,
Lee, I don't know how comfortable I am with you transitioning straight from prostitution to Charlie's been there. I don't know how I feel about that. That was very. There was no middle.
I look to you to tell us about the darker side of London, since you you have a difficult background from what you keep saying. So
thank you.
Yeah. I figured you could tell us what it's really like.
Would you lads be happy if Ings come to West Ham?
If he stays healthy, yeah.
Depends, yeah.
Be happy.
He's not going to stay healthy. I mean, he and Antonio can sit together on the bench, 14 games a year and play rock paper scissors. I mean, he's a great player, and he wouldn't score against us anymore.
It's not a bad option, though, is it? Like, I mean, to your point, James, we need two strikers. I think you need a starting striker and a bench striker. He gets goals. If
Antonio,
you know what you're going to get out of him every single time. You know what you're going to get out of him.
If Antonio wasn't already so injury prone, I would definitely take Danny Ings for like 15 million. Absolutely, but obviously
he's in the last year of his contract, isn't he? So he's going to, if he could leave in the next summer for nothing. So they're going to want to take something for him.
He's younger than I thought. He's 28. He's Jesse Lingard's age. He's 28. I thought he was older.
I think Ings goes to like one of the top teams. I'm talking like City, maybe. I don't
really.
Not to start.
He might go back to Liverpool. Honestly,
there's a temptation there to think. I think this is the thing. His injury proneness just makes it a no-go because we have Antonio. Like if we didn't have Antonio,
that's the problem.
The price was right.
Yeah.
Then I would 100% go for Danny Ings. I think so. Well, actually, I don't know if I would 100%. I don't know if he fits in Moyes' system, but I would 100% go for Danny Ings. But in our current situation, nah. Nah,
I like
he's
Danny
too
Ings. I think he's a great
I
player.
love him.
I
think
just
he's
worry about his health. That's all.
I think he's too much money for.
I worry about
would be
all your
too much.
guys' health, everyone's
true.
health.
Thank you, Lucas. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's very considerate of you. But no, I mean, again, as Fresh Fielder says, he's just injured too often. And now he's young, but however, he's 28. I thought he was in his 30s, but he's 28, so he's younger than I thought. Now Wang Hee-chan, I don't know this guy. I will say I don't watch a lot of German football, and he plays for the most hated club in Germany. He plays for Red Bull Leipzig. They're more hated than Bayern now. Everybody hates them because they've got the corporate ownership and all that, and everybody hates them.
They are the franchise.
They are the franchise. Yeah, the Germans really hate him, and Germans have I actually kind of like the German attitude toward football in general. They have some good.
I've always
good
respected a
philosophies.
great grudge.
He went
Always.
to Pohang Middle School and Pohang High School. I don't know why that's funny. Is that funny to anybody else? No. Okay.
Bro, you want to
Go
talk about
Steelers, baby.
It's not quite the Indian side.
No,
FC
no,
team.
Pohang's team is the Pohang Steelers.
Are they? Are
yeah,
they the
Pohang
Steelers?
Steelers.
You're damn right,
Yeah.
right there.
Okay.
Fucking Dave, there he is again. See?
Well, all I can say is I mean his goal scoring record is a little suspect.
Well, he's so for context with
Is he a striker?
with Bing Huang?
Yeah.
he's
He's a
striker come winger.
Yeah, he is.
He's
Yeah.
played a lot on the wing and played up front. He's also substitution striker for Leipzig, so he's coming on and not getting a huge amount of minutes. He's not starting.
Yeah.
He's
that
also
makes
had
sense.
he's also had some very deep injuries of late.
Has
which
he?
is why in 2020
Okay.
he's only played 18 league games.
Oh, and he
season.
had COVID earlier this season.
He's been a bit all over the shop. Very, very talented footballer, but the definition of raw. Like he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like
yeah.
again, it's one of those things where all these people who we talk about, it's like I love the idea of getting in Big Huang, or I love the idea of getting
He's
in.
also 25, Charlie. He's 25. He's not like a kid. He's 25. Yeah, but I don't know. And actually, to be honest with you, he's 5 foot. He's 5'10". I've seen bigger Wangs.
True. But you have
The
to think
bigger the better.
You could find bigger Wangs on the internet. Surely,
You have to
if
remember
you
though,
just,
with the
if
style
you
of-
just Googled a bigger Wang, you could
with
find
the
a
style
bigger
of football, with the style of
It's
football we're looking
It's
to
all
play.
about the wang.
It's not
It is,
necessarily
it is.
the size, but the speed. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the problem here. Is we need to,
Wang
we-
Wong.
you know?
Speed is always the problem when it comes to the Wang, isn't it? That's one of the real
That's what
issues.
I'm saying. And
Is he a good
Well,
fit?
I think but this is the thing.
Endurance
There's a
as well.
And then,
The thing about,
and then there's the wang.
listen, the thing about
No
Wang is,
endurance
right,
at all.
He's really fast, but also he can fit into tight spaces real easy. He's got this good dribbling. Do you know what I mean? He dribbles it up. He's close control. Very good.
Get out of here!
He's one of those people who like he clearly would fit the system, but he's the definition of like unfinished talent.
Will
He can
fill
go
gaps?
left,
Will-
right,
but-
and up
but
the
will-
middle.
Will Wang fill gaps at the back? That's the question.
Does he penetrate?
Can you slot him in at the
Oh.
back, Charlie? Can
He
you
can-
slot him in at the back
Listen,
if you need
he
to?
wouldn't slot into the back like Antonio would, but I
Can
tell
he
you,
do the
he can
helicopter?
penetrate at the best.
Antonio slotted in at the back for quite a while early in his career, if you remember.
How do the
Yeah.
mouthy girls feel about him?
He's
we
got it.
cut
Listen,
I'll
I'll
live
tell
to
you.
our mousy girl
To be
correspondent
honest,
Lee.
check this
Lee,
dude out.
Lee, tell
He
us about
looks
the
a little
mousy girl again,
dangerous.
mate. Go on, tell
You
us
know
about it again.
The
Right,
mousy
I
girl.
want-
Well, the mousy girl's just.
Yeah.
He looks a little dangerous. Look at him. He's got a little like like he looks a little menacing to me.
I'll tell
Like,
you
he
what,
doesn't
we
look
could
like
use
a
that
nice guy at
K-pop
all.
fan base for sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
those,
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
BTS
We need it.
people. Is he in BTS?
No, from what I
I'm a-
understand too, he works his ass off. He's a hard worker.
Does he? Well,
Let
all
me
those
let me
dancers-
tell you this
all
right
those
now.
dancers are really hard to master.
Already on a European tour, we're massive. Bring the K-pop stands with us. Oh my god.
We'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, no, we'd be. It would be incredible.
Can we all just appreciate that Lee mentioned BTS, the K-pop group?
That's
Lee,
incredible.
I happen to. Okay, so you guys know that I teach a Sunday school class, a high school Sunday school class on Sundays, and one of the girls in the class is a huge K-pop fan, and I have everything I know about K-pop I've learned from her, and that is that there is a K-pop band called BTS. That's everything I know.
Penetrating
Nice.
Wang.
That's it. That's all I know. So I know that, and I don't know anything else. And it's an impressive Wang, a scary Wang, quite frankly. The Wang who looked to me like wasn't
Daunting
like this. This
feeling.
Wang didn't have good intentions, right? This Wang was a little sideways. So anyway,
Daunting.
yeah. Works. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure. But then, what good does it do? All right. Yeah, I don't even know what we were talking about. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what we've been talking about. Strikers for a long.
Yeah, we're talking about striker options.
The
long
point
time.
is Benteke is clearly the option. We've seen the picture. Look, it's happening. Let's get him in. You know, he looks awkward. That's what we need.
How
Sign him
disappointed? How funny would it be though if we did sign Benteke though?
Bro,
not funny at all.
Is
Very
he on a free?
unfunny.
Oh yeah, not funny at all.
If he's
Yeah,
on
I
a
would
free,
not-
if he's on a free, there's not a 0% chance of it happening. I'll put it that way.
Wait, hang on. I've watched a couple of the dramas.
A
too, the
Benteke
Korean
signing would
dramas.
be would be like a pregnancy joke on April Fools.
Oh God, it would.
Hang on.
Oh, that's
You've
true.
watched K-dramas? What?
A little bit. My wife watched a couple, so I watched a couple with her. They like I don't know.
You
They play the same music over and over and over. Like they pick one American
Oh,
song and
yeah,
they play
yeah,
it over and over and over. And so if you like that song, if you don't want to hear it, then you're going to hear it a lot. And there's one guy is in all Korean dramas. There's one actor in all Korean dramas. It's not Wang. It's some other guy. Anyway, but listen. Honestly, I would love to visit South Korea, and I'm not joking. I've watched Kim's Convenience. That's a good show. If you haven't seen that show, it's a Canadian show.
No, South Korea has really good movies and shows.
Yeah. I mean,
but like they have really good intense movies and shows.
My friends in California, when I used to work, when all my work friends were in California, they all watched all the they watched the soap operas, the Korean soap operas, and they were all.
No, the soap operas aren't what's good. They have like really good intense shows you can find on Netflix and like intense movies. There's one like I Saw the Devil about some serial killer who's like following this guy's family, and he gets like the ultimate revenge. They have like those kind of movies.
That sounds like
they have some really like, but it's really well done. They have like really acclaimed directors. I think they have this other one called like Old Boy. Let me look that one up.
Mm-hmm. Old Boy, yeah.
It's all like
this is the second.
It's really good directing. It's like
I've only managed to drag
nothing like
Korean movies and K-pop out of one other football channel this season, and I've managed to do it again.
Old Boy is really good. If you can watch Old Boy, I highly recommend that one.
Old Boy is very good. Old Boy is very good.
All right,
remake,
not the remake, but it'll do.
I will keep that in mind. Definitely. Korean culture is actually pretty interesting, and it's becoming really
it's intense. Big thing. They're intense movies.
See, intensity is not always great for me. But
I love intense movies and shows.
The Korean dramas are the ones I've watched. I mean, they're pretty like, I don't know. They become suddenly intense. You know what I mean? Like they kind of roll along, they rock and roll along, and all of a sudden there's like
2.5 Wangs.
Yeah. So it's like they kind of roll along like the tide, and then woof, a big old tidal wave comes in and swamps you. You know what I mean? That's the ones I've seen. That's how they work. So anyway, they're not, but they're pretty good. I would love to go to South Korea. I think it'd be a fascinating place to go. Love to go to North Korea. You know, why not? I mean,
there's probably many reasons why not.
No,
like of all the places in the world,
it'd be fascinating to see. You know, it'd be fascinating. There's no
That's
doubt
a
about that.
no for me, dog.
Yeah, I can't lie. If it's not on the top of the list. You know what I mean? Iceland, anywhere else first, maybe, and then maybe once I've nailed all the other big hitters, then maybe we'll rock up.
North Korea in Eurovision. North Korea will be in Eurovision next year, and then you'll see something. All right, then you'll see. You think K-pop is wait till you get to K-pop or People's Republic of K-pop. Okay, PR K-pop. That is going to be
audience there, isn't it?
Well, have you seen the card tricks, the tifos and stuff that they do? They're amazing.
Yeah.
Because of course, there's severe penalties if you get that wrong. But even so.
I have another recommendation. It's called The Kingdom. It's like it's a zombie movie, but it takes in like place in like Korea in like 1680 against the backdrop of that, and all the like the costumes are super realistic and there's just royal drama, excuse me. But then the zombie apocalypse happens there, and they're trying to contain it. It's really good.
What is
The Kingdom.
What is this, Ken? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is absolutely not true. Good gracious!
You've been caught on the way.
Good gracious! I am Ken. I went to your house on Sunday morning straight from church, and that is the truth. I am not making that up. I did. It's really true.
The Church of Wang.
Pyongyang.
I don't even know any young Asian girls. Okay, so. What are you doing, man? You're killing me here. You see, this is my buddy. I go up to see him for the first time in a year, and then he comes back. He's Jeffrey Epsteining me on the show.
Lee's logo is wham, bam, thank you.
You're thinking of Bill Gates. That's what you're thinking. You're thinking of Bill Gates. Have you guys seen all this about Bill Gates? Has been a playa for years. Have you guys seen all this?
Someone had the audacity to say he looks out of shape. Well, you know what? He has $500 trillion. I think he
looks in very good shape to me. I was going to say. I think most of the women he's pursued have probably found him to be,
quite a charming man.
Right, exactly. Charming
Old
enough.
Huang.
Charming enough. Charming enough.
He chopped his old wang out, and that was without me.
Microsoft Huang.
Charming enough. Yeah, but he was Mr. Clean, everybody thought, until it turned out he wasn't. So, anyway, yeah.
He's been to the clinic of Wang.
Oh, I bet you he's been to a few clinics. I don't doubt that at all. He started that charity to rid the world of, disease. He probably had a lot of them himself, trying to figure out how to knock off all those STDs that he picked up somewhere. But anyway, I promise you, no young Asian girls for me. Okay, just saying. I didn't think I'd have to clarify that, but here we are.
You won't be saying that next year when you're in Prague on a European tour with West Ham and
Bangladesh.
Are there young Asian girls in Prague?
There's Asian girls everywhere, Lee.
Okay.
Everywhere.
I hope we get to Thailand.
Evidently, that's true. From what I can tell, that must be true. So yes. Anyway,
we need Thailand bad.
Oh, Robert. Oh no, Robert Kraft. I met him one time. When the Patriots.
Doing a Robert Kraft.
Don't think you're helping yourself, Lee.
No, Robert Kraft. Now the Patriots did a charity thing where they went and helped build a playground at the Boys and Girls Club in Waltham where I used to live, and I read in the local paper, like the Waltham paper, David, not like the Globe, like the Waltham paper. I read they were going to be there on a particular day. So my wife and I walked down. My older son was a baby, tiny, like a month old. So my wife and I walked down there and we hung out at, there were like 5 or 6 people and nobody was there because nobody knew they were there because nobody reads the Waltham newspaper except for me, right? So we go down there and there's like 8 or 10 Patriots players there, and I got Vince Wilfork's autograph. He was a very nice man, and talked to a couple of the players, and then we were still hanging around, and Bob Kraft comes out, and so I met him and I talked to him a little bit, and I got a picture of him kissing my 1-month-old baby on the head. He bent down and kissed him on the head. So I met Robert Kraft. Of course, that was Isaac's 10. That was 10 almost 11 years ago. So I didn't know about his, his interest in orchids of Asia, his interest in horticulture among Asians. That was the spa he went to, Orchids of Asia, where he was allegedly, caught receiving a happy ending. So, but I did meet Bob.
He could have done worse,
He could have done worse. It's true. He could have done worse. Absolutely.
Let him live.
Yeah. This is better. This is better. Just the beer emoji is fine. Oh God. Now Neil lives in Australia. He knows what he's talking about. This is a guy who lives in that part of the world. He's like, you better watch out. I'm gonna tell you something else. All right.
That's why we need to go to Thailand.
I'm gonna tell you something else. Amsterdam. You guys have been to Amsterdam? You have the girls in the windows in Amsterdam. All right, I lived in Rotterdam for a while, and I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I never partook. All right, it's not my thing. I'm not judging those who do. I'm just saying it's not my thing. All right, but I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of those girls are dudes. They're absolutely dudes. They've got Adam's apples. the size of like my forehead. They are dudes.
Hey,
Did
I'm
you
from-
Did you show them the wang and they showed you their wang?
No, but I'll tell you what.
Two and a half wangs?
I have seen some very drunken English dudes come out of those rooms, surprised by what they experienced. Is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is,
Would you
it's
say
not always-
shocked?
I would say shocked. I would say they didn't know. They don't always get what they're bargaining for. You know what I mean?
Hey, it was probably a fair price, though.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't hear complaining. I'm just saying I don't think they got what they
A
bargained
bargain's
for,
a bargain, if you
I
ask
was
me.
going to say a bargain's a bargain. Yeah.
Lee,
yeah.
Lee, when you go out on a Saturday night up north in England or somewhere, they look like that normally. So it's nothing new, mate.
Well,
honestly.
let me tell you something. David, I don't know. Back me up a little bit here. They're not so great here either. Okay, Boston is not America's like. It's not. Great.
I agree. It's not the
You got to go south.
Flowers
You got
of the world. They're not present.
Respectfully.
You got to go south. You got to go south. You got to, like where Lucas lives in Maryland, Virginia. That's kind of where it starts. You know what I mean? And then you go south, and it's Texas is. I'm just saying.
Again, respectfully.
Yes.
Respectfully.
Yes. University of Texas with like 30,000 co-eds. If that's your thing, then I'm saying.
No, not that it's looks that originally attract me. It's the personality.
Of course not. Of course not.
It's what sandwiches.
I don't
make.
even see looks.
Right.
You know
It's
what I mean?
money. It's money. It's money that attracts. It's
Wang, no Wang. Great personality.
You know what I find attractive. Seriously, women with
Mousy girls.
mousy girls with excellent grammar. Women who can write. I have to. My wife and I met online. Okay, because I don't know how to. Because I got married when I was young. I got divorced. I moved back from France. I did not know how to meet women at all. Right, I had no game whatsoever. So I went on the an internet. It was Yahoo Personal.
Lee, what was your chat up, mate? I've got to know this. What was your chat up?
I don't remember. It was just very simple.
Bonjour.
So my wife and I emailed each other before we met in person, okay? And she told me one of the reasons she agreed to go out with me was because I used proper grammar and punctuation, and so did she. And this was, believe me, this is not common. So somebody who can actually write, that was. I'm not joking. Before I ever met her in person, that attracted me, and I'm very serious about that. Somebody with
least sexy thing of all time.
Yeah.
Proper grammar.
You can't.
When you was like texting, and that being all that.
No, those were emails. This wasn't even texts, were emails. This is old school emails.
Charlie, we're talking about Lee's dating experience, online dating.
Oh yeah, I'm
back in
sure
the
you're
day.
shocked to hear this. I'm sure that's a massive shock to your system. That
I just assumed that the conversation had gone somewhere while I was away, and I was happy to just let it ride out. You know what I mean? I'll figure it out as we go.
You missed our Amsterdam talk, Thailand.
Damn, the one.
The southeast, and I guess also the southwest of the United States. Honestly, from Southern California, just a big old swath, all the way through you could probably skip New Mexico, but like Texas and this Louisiana and all.
You're making me so excited for Ocean City,
dude. I'm just saying. You come to. I remember talking to
respectfully.
This guy. Back when we had the NPS, Tim and I had the NPSL team years ago, and there was a kid who played for, I think it was New York Cosmos or New York Red Bulls, their reserve team. They came to play us, and he was this Swedish guy, and he's like, "Where are all the hot girls?" And I was like, "Not here, you got not anywhere you're going." You know what I mean? Like you guys are playing in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. I'm like, "No, not here. You got to go. Yeah, you got to go somewhere else." So anyway. But yes, and it was, in fact, Tommy, it was extremely on point. All right.
I'm a huge universal your guy. I never change my your. It's always the same your.
What word are you? What is that word? Your? Are you saying
your?
Like
YOUR.
But-
Is
like
that my?
belonging to you? Yeah. Okay.
But which one do
Your.
you use?
Oh, you mean
I
you
only
mean-
just
you
use
mean-
the
oh,
YOUR. I use
oh.
no other variation.
Well,
just because I'm that lazy.
Lucas, I'm never gonna have a romantic relationship with you.
I can't
Get
believe
out.
that
Get out. Get out.
people.
Although your hair is gorgeous, I'm never gonna have a romantic relationship. So that's really unfortunate because like the your thing, that's a deal breaker.
Is that one of your red flags?
Oh, it's not a red flag. It's a flare. It's a burning inferno.
No day
know,
for
it's-
you.
Yeah, no, I'm a writer. I've been getting paid to write since I was 18. All right, it's the only thing I can actually do besides talk on the YouTube.
Then Lee, I don't want to get you too excited, but I speak well good England, fam. Come, let's go. Come on, let's go. Get him. Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, but you don't. But you're gonna use you have a you people have a disdain. You have a disdain for the letter Z, which you call Z because you're communist. You have a disdain for the letter Z, and you don't use it enough. All right, you need to drop it into more words. And
listen, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
It upsets
listen,
me. It upsets
I'm all for the letter Z. Put it in random places. I'm here for it. But the language is called English. Back down. You know
We're not even 2 hours in, Ray. This is we haven't even started. The language is called English, but we all know where it was perfected. It was perfected in my home state of Texas. That's where.
That's the bold claim you're going to go with.
That's why I thought you would understand what I'm saying. I thought my little southern accent was coming in.
It is. You have a good accent. I like your accent, but I have more of a drawl. Texans take 20 minutes to say it.
Like with me, I never pronounce my INGs. They're always INs.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I know. I get that.
Yeah, me too.
But
I'm from Swindon.
Yeah, I get that. All right.
Everywhere along the Great Western Line. Do you know what I mean? Anywhere between Paddington and Taunton, and it's just pure. That's the pronunciation the whole way.
Where is it? Paddington.
Paddington. Yeah. That was really. It was in the middle of the word, so it threw me.
Like good evening. I don't say evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, Darren is telling us about actual real Thailand here.
Yes.
Wow. That
Thailand.
sounds awful, Darren. What a
Oh yeah,
buzzkill
Charlie.
you are.
James said that the girls up north are a lot like the girls in Amsterdam.
Are a lot like the. That's true. A lot like they're like the girls up north. I don't know. Up north in England is not like up north. Well, I guess it is kind of like up north. But I know that up north in England is your not so great area. So.
You obviously have never been to Dagenham.
I'll tell you where I've been. I've been to London, obviously. I've been to the Cotswolds. I've been to Bath. I've been to Cornwall. I've been to the Thames Valley a little bit, and that is it.
You've been to all the rough spots, Lee, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to all the. Let me tell you, man. I had to fight my way out of Cornwall, man. Those people
Cotswolds
down there.
are well hard.
Cotswolds are tough,
mate.
bro. I got
Roman
stuck on the
bars
train.
having a massive
I got
scrap.
stuck on a train.
Listen, Cotswolds away, mate. It's a tough place to go.
Cotswolds away. That's right. Stonehenge. I've been to Stonehenge. Okay, it's Cotswolds away. But I got stuck on a train in Swindon. I told you that, John, when they lost the keys to the train.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Really. I apologize.
I never got off the train. I didn't get off the train, so I don't know.
What do you mean you lost the keys to the train? Were you driving it? What do you mean you lost the keys?
No. We were on British Rail, such as it is, and this is probably 15 years ago. No, at least. Oh, closer to 20, because I've been back for 15 years. Anyway. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe this is no. This was later. This was in like 2008. So this was, anyway, whatever. We were on British Rail, and we I don't know where we were going. Might have been going to Cornwall. I don't remember. Maybe back to London. It doesn't matter.
You were emailing.
We were in Swindon, all right, and we had to like make a change or a stop or something. Anyway, the train stopped in Swindon, and it stopped, and it sat and sat and sat and sat. It sat for like an hour, and nobody knew why. And then finally, the guy comes back on, and he says, the conductor comes back on, and he says, "Well, sorry for the delay. We lost the keys to the train, and we had to go find the keys before we could get it started to take off again." So That was the time I spent in Swindon.
That's beautiful.
Silly, we don't make the rules in Swindon. Swin Vegas, as it's locally known. Swin Vegas. Just enjoy it.
Yeah,
Surprisingly big train station. Surprisingly big train station.
What happens in Swindon stays in Swindon.
Stays
You should know that.
That includes all incestuous activities. You're right.
Man.
Nugs for days, mate. Nugs for days.
Here in Ireland, yeah. The word ye. Well, in Pittsburgh, what do they say, Lucas? You know what they say.
Yins.
They say yeah. Well, John, that's right. You live in Philly. I forgot. They say yens. Yeah. Yeah. How are you? Well, we say y'all.
Sod.
They say yourself in Ireland. We say y'all in Texas, which is the proper. It's the you all y''all y'all. They say that. You say that too, right, Lucas? You probably say that. And
Absolutely.
It's an appropriate contraction. It's it makes sense. It makes sense. This I don't know what that means. That's
classic school hard argument. Is y'all a word? Of course it fucking is.
Of course it's a word. It's not only a word; it's an incredibly useful
Hang on.
word.
You were just claiming to be a writer, and now you're claiming y'all as a word.
It's absolutely a word.
It's a contraction.
Well, a contraction's a word.
Of
What's wrong
two
with you?
words.
Are you anti-contractionist?
I'm not anti-contraction.
You are. You're anti-apostrophe.
Do you know what? Actually, I might have just changed my mind. Maybe it is one word.
Of course.
Yeah, because Kant's one word. Yeah, no.
Of course, it's one word.
I've changed my mind live on air. There we go.
Good lord.
You can't argue against contractions and use the word "I'm" in that sentence.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. I'm an idiot. I'm actually just wrong on that one, aren't I? Yeah,
we're gonna pull this back around to West Ham, okay? Charlie.
Yeah.
For the first time tonight, let's talk West Ham.
Look at me pointing at. Well, I'm trying to point at you, but I'm going the wrong way.
Point at me.
Anyway,
Point at me.
Charlie.
What's
Do
up?
you still sell Declan Rice?
Oh yeah,
this
of course.
summer? Really?
The
you
answer
serious?
doesn't change. Yeah, of course.
You would still sell him?
Bro, if anything, selling him's more useful now than it would have been back then.
Charlie, you're only in it for the views. What are you on about? Come on.
We need in it for the views. In it for the views. If I was in it for the views, I would just say
change the title of the live stream quick.
Y'all is in the dictionary where I come from. That's all that matters to me. All right. So don't hand me your pansy English dictionaries. Okay. You show me a dictionary with y'all in it. I'll show a dictionary that kick your dictionary's ass. All right.
Yes.
Put you on the mat.
That's the
right.
This is the kind of literary violence I came here for. I love it.
I told you. I'm well spoken.
I can't believe I tuned into an episode of Countdown.
I
know what that is. All right.
Please, Lee. Yeah, no, of course I would. If anything, selling him now is more useful than it would be if we didn't get Europe. We need the money. Like the thing is, it's not even like talking about the idea of like for the views and stuff. If I wanted for the views, I would just say random platitudes and then get all the way to the top. It's not that. I like just being honest about it. We need the money. He's the most sellable asset. 2 + 2 = 4. If you can sell one player and get £100 million, or
how
you
do we
sell
replace him? He's our
100 Yarmolenkos for 100 million. Like
he has just captained us to our best season in the history of our Premier League history. Okay.
Yes.
He's just captained us over Arsenal and Tottenham for the first time.
I agree. He's worth even more now. I agree.
Premier League. Okay. We saw what happens when he's injured and you break the axle of Rice and Souček and everything falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you replace a guy like this?
For a start, he's the easier to replace out of him and Souček. He's like Souček scores goals. He defends more. Like Souček is like invaluable. Souček, show me another defensive midfielder was as good a scoring rate as Thomas Souček.
Well,
I'll wait.
Okay, actually,
Gundula.
Actually,
I have a bunch of arguments.
Delaney.
I love coming out.
All right, David. Kick Steve. You guys are this Sinatra group. David, kick his ass. I'm cussing a lot tonight, brother.
Number one, why is Declan Rice worth 100 million? Why is he worth that much? It's because he's supremely talented.
Yeah, so we should sell him.
He makes it all look easy. You don't even realize he's there. He's just winning the defensive challenges, mopping it up, getting rid of it, or bringing it up the field. Number two, if you think our domestic form would not struggle without Declan Rice and some other defensive midfielder replacements we had in the Europa League, I think you're just out of your mind.
I think we got Fellaini on speed.
Going into our most important campaign of our of our last like 15 years, and you don't want Declan Rice involved, I think that's a little weird.
I think we're
Number three. I don't think you have any way of quickly enough signing all the players to be successful. They would have to be all jumbled together. I don't trust our owners to do that. Number four, it's not David Moyes' style to spend that much money in one go. He gradually builds up. He targets and he says, we're going to sign this type of player or these 3-4 types of player in one transfer window. Then these then go higher and higher each season. He doesn't do like a lot of transfers at once. That's not what he's known for.
Tommy has me mistaken if he thinks I even touch a vegetable. So
No.
how dare you?
Yeah, I was going to say Charlie
How
doesn't eat vegetables.
dare
I know that. I know
Vegetables. I've got 2 different types of chocolate to hand at any time. You think I'm going to touch?
that's true. Yeah, it's a metaphor, but it doesn't work for Charlie. No, I mean, you built the whole club around Declan Rice.
You how about this? Everyone tell me I'm wrong, and then I'll tell you all you're wrong, and then we can.
All right.
Well, the thing is, I'll be honest. I'll be honest with the whole thing. I'll be honest with the entire thing. There's
you
nothing.
Want to talk about mousy girls.
There's
I mean,
nothing you can say. There's nothing you can. You know what I want to talk about, and it's France in depth. I ask you this every time because the thing is,
now they get real mousy there.
You all
they
can
get real
say
mousy.
that I haven't considered.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Do you know that for sure?
Yeah, are you sure?
I don't think
that's what I'm saying. Everyone try and prove me wrong.
Charlie, you bullshit. Charlie's not here for the views. He wouldn't be in the show if he was here for the views because we don't get that many. But I'm still saying it's just to wind him up anyway because that is just a nonsense point, Charlie. You're being contrarian for no reason other than being contrarian. How do you replace a generational talent? Generational talent.
You don't.
Declan Rice.
Fellaini.
Generational talent. We are not going to sniff at anything like that. We haven't sniffed at anything like that since the 1960s.
This is the only reason to sell him is to have him take pens for somebody else. I agree with this. Yes, have him take pens for somebody else. That would be fine. No, he's the best. John. Who do you seriously? All right, let's ask this question: who's the last West Ham player who was as good as Declan Rice?
Jordan Hugo. Next question.
No.
Rio Ferdinand.
I was going to say Rio. Yes.
Michael Carrick.
But I forget if Frank Lampard got sold before or after him.
Carrick's a good shout, actually.
Michael Carrick,
they're all from the same era.
Carrick is a good shout.
They're all from the same era, right? And I mean,
Paul Ince.
Well,
this is Edwin Moreland.
Pretty good.
You're talking about guys all, I mean, we're all within a few years of each other. It doesn't do us any good to sell off our best players.
It doesn't do us any good to keep him.
How does that do us any good to keep him?
Not in the long term. Short term, that's all well and good. But what's that long term? We need to be looking at a vision where we can actually try and build this club, not build a single player. He's leaving this summer or he's leaving next summer. You make your choice.
I do slightly agree with Charlie on that. I must admit, I'm not even going to lie. Well, like, you can't. Yeah. Just. Well, what would you rather have? Look at Leicester, Lee, for instance. Leicester have sold Kante, Mahrez, Maguire, Ben Chilwell. I'd rather be in Leicester's position than ours. They've won the Premier League. They've won an FA Cup. They've qualified for the Champions League. They've qualified for the Europa League in 5 years. And what we done?
They've got a philosophy, though. We ain't got that.
Yeah, but we're not going to get.
We're working on chance. We're working on absolute chance. It's the only reason we have Declan Rice is pure luck. It's not
Carlos Sanchez on a free.
I agree. Listen, Carlos was. I agree. If I drop the facade of being, if I drop that for a second, right? It's realism. It's being realistic. We need money. We have one incredibly sellable asset, and it's one asset. We're not selling every. If you need to raise money by selling stuff in your house, would you rather sell one item or would you rather sell 15 items for the same price? Realistically, we need numbers. Realistically, we need money. There is one incredibly sellable asset. Declan Rice. We keep talking about who would you replace him with? You can't replace him. I know. I'm not saying we could just buy another Declan Rice. He's not world class yet. I will say that he is getting there, and he has the potential to be there. I don't think he's there yet. So technically, yes, we could bring in a better defensive midfielder than him right now. But obviously, there's the potential and what he means to the club and everything else. But when you're talking about people, when you're talking about what we can actually do, it's right there. He's leaving this summer or next summer. Unless somehow next summer we got Champions League, then maybe he stays. But that's not happening.
I agree with Charlie.
It's the realistic
I agree with Charlie.
It's not like the emotional part of me does not want to sell Declan Rice. Me playing PES or Football Manager or FIFA is not selling Declan Rice. Realistically, in the real world, it's the only option it's happening. So you have to make a decision.
It's going to happen, but it's
and if we wait a year,
it's going to happen. Now's not the year. I don't think this is the year where West Ham is struggling for money.
We need to learn
financial emergency.
I don't disagree with you, but as a club, we need to learn when to sell our players because we are horrendous at it. We consistently sell our players when they have gone past their peak value. Now, if they provide,
we don't have good players to begin with because we spent too much on them in the first place.
Antonio, we could have sold for 1.25 million. Now he's broken. Chiarte, we could have sold for 20 million.
Charlie. Declan Rice is the biggest asset at West Ham United. We don't own our stadium. We don't own our training ground. Well, we do, but it's a shithole. We have nothing. We have nothing at all. Any potential buyers coming in to David Soll and David Gold, who value this club so extortionately, the biggest asset is Declan Rice, who is worth to me, not what he's worth on the market, but what he's worth to us, 150 million, easy. So if you're going to get West Ham sold for 4, 5, 6, 700 million, Declan Rice has to be a part of that deal. Has to be a part of that deal.
It's not going to happen.
There's no way they're selling without him.
He's not going to be here by the time you sell. Declan Rice is leaving this summer or next summer, and they're selling, 2024? It's not happening.
2023.
Yeah, but it won't happen until 2024. But yeah, probably.
Charlie, let me ask you
you're saying when the paperwork actually goes through. Okay.
That's fair.
Do you really think, though, Charlie, that it's going to go through this summer? I don't see it this summer, but next year I can. I think this year's too soon. Like, no one's got any money.
I don't know. But is he available? Yes. Now, I don't walk around going, Declan Rice. If I'm in charge, I'm not walking about going, guys, who wants to buy Declan Rice? But you just go, if someone pays 100 million for him, you can have Declan Rice or whatever the figure ends up being. For me, it's 100 million. But if you say, or 110, 120, it doesn't really matter, right? But the stupid thing to do is to go, he's not for sale.
Oh, anyone's for sale.
Well,
that's my point. You just come out and you say, look, you put your price on him, but the price that you would take. So let's say it's 100 million for sake of argument. It could be 120, it could be 150. I don't really care what it is, just for sake of argument. You say, I would say Declan Rice can be bought for 100 million, right? And then when the clubs come to you and they go, here's 70 million, you go, I've told you what the price is. You either pay the price or you don't. I don't care. And this is what Leicester did with Harry Maguire. They just went, it's 80 million. They kept coming back and going, oh, is it this much? How about this much, Man United? What about if we paid? And they went, no, 80 million. And that's the way you play it. Again, realistically, he is leaving, but we have to know when to sell these assets.
You're starting to make a degree of sense to me, Charlie. Which
we can. The problem, that's because I'm dropping the stupid facade of being like realistically, it's the realism talking here. I don't want that.
Well, okay, let me ask you this.
Realistically, it's the realism.
I'm not. Listen, I've never claimed to be eloquent. I've never claimed to be eloquent.
Do you trust? I mean, a lot of what you say makes sense. And James, your Leicester comparison is actually really good. Do you trust David Moyes to be the guy to take the money from Declan and do what Leicester did?
You've got to rephrase that, though, Lee. You've got to rephrase that. It ain't so much taking the money; it's the owners.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the owners first before David Moyes.
Okay, but what I mean is, okay. So if we're going to be able to reinvest all or part of the money we get for selling Declan Rice, right, in players, do you trust David Moyes to be the manager to do that?
Yeah, 1,000%.
I do. I actually do. Which helps me see Charlie's argument even more clearly. But Charlie, do you?
No, but he's the man who's going to be here when it happens, regardless. David Moyes is going to be like the thing is with David Moyes, like he's had a great success rate with transfers, but let's be real, that's not going to carry on. Not because David Moyes, but just realistically, no one hits 100% home runs. Do you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, but
gonna
100 million though, Charlie, does help the situation, doesn't it? Ain't like he's got 20 million.
there's also. I no, but that's a personal thing. Again, the point is that it's happened, but I don't. For me, that doesn't affect my argument of wanting to sell him. Or not wanting to sell him, being accepting the idea that we should be selling him is like I don't trust him, but that doesn't make a difference because he's going to be here. You know, David Moyes will be here this summer, and the chances are incredibly high that he'll be here next summer. So
the way you got to look at this,
it's happening.
Well, he's about to sign a 3-year contract, so unless we go down or there's a catastrophe, he'll be here.
Contracts aren't even worth the paper they're written on. We all know that.
I know, but the point is, yes, I agree. But the point is, if we are a mid-table club next season, I think he's.
Oh yeah, and this is what I mean. Yeah, the chances are incredibly high that he's staying.
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Honestly, let's look at it this way, right? Harry Kane is 28 years old and has finally been sold. He's finally put in a request to be transferred. Clubs don't sell their captains. Captains don't accept to be captains without knowing that it's some kind of commitment to that club for a while.
He's not club captain.
He's basically club captain.
He probably will be at the end of next season.
He's fundamentally our
captain. He's basically
he was captain almost. He was captain almost every game.
So embarrassing if we sold Declan Rice as club captain.
But again, the difference is, and this is why I mean, the only way I think Declan Rice would stay next summer is if we got Champions League. Is Tottenham were moving up in the world when Harry Kane came in.
Yes, we absolutely need to match his ambitions. Absolutely, and if that means qualifying for Europa, again, I think that could do it. I think there's a minimum to what we could do. If we're showing progress, we're bringing in the right kind of players, it makes the team better, building a team around him. I think he's here for at least another 2 seasons. If we're not doing those things, then I would leave as well.
That's fair. And what I would say is this: I also think it's a horrendous idea to build a team around Declan Rice. Because we know the chances are he's going. So why the hell would you build a club around someone? The one player in the entire squad you can guarantee is leaving in the next probably 2 years almost. You don't build the team around him. That's madness. He's going.
But you can't say to me that if we built a team around him and he left, we will still have a good team. Like at a minute,
you say that about any player. You build a team around Antonio when he left, there'd still be a good team there. It makes no difference. What I'm saying is you don't play a tactic and do everything based on the idea of Declan Rice still being here, because he won't be. In the same way that I think, like John, I think you're right. If we somehow manage to match Declan Rice's ambitions, also Mark, I don't think his price will go up, but that's a separate argument.
I wonder, couldn't it? Why wouldn't it? I mean, would it, barring a defensive injury?
For a defensive midfielder,
how much do you think he's worth, Charlie? How much do you reckon he's worth on the market now?
60 million.
Nah,
I wouldn't sell him for that. But
so that's the problem. The problem right now is I think we would undersell, because I think a lot of clubs are.
I agree,
and I think we could get 90 to 100 for this guy if we waited.
I think because of the COVID crisis.
Yeah, I mean that's because I see your argument. I really do. I do. I understand it, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know if now is the time. I think David brought this up too. I'm not sure now is the time.
But I guess so with the price argument, for example, I think the rest, everyone else wouldn't. I think we all know here, and I think everyone, and this is something I'm going to speak to Tommy's point actually. I think everyone here in this chat, apart from maybe Nupin because he's a Chelsea fan, but fair enough, would probably say we all would rate Declan Rice's value significantly higher than Man United, Man City, whoever it is would, right? If you're saying, so for example, me, I think the sort of market price for him would be 60 million. In my head, it's 100 million, right? 100 million is my price, okay?
But nobody's going to pay that right now.
No. If he has a good Euros, maybe that goes up to 80 million. It's still not going to go up any higher than what we're already asking for. We've reached the sort of ceiling, and he's
but he's the best DM in the country, though. He's the best DM in the
I would disagree with that, but I think it's a case of...
Really? You don't think so?
I think he is.
I think
I think
he's.
I think he's in the conversation, but I don't think he's the best.
I think it's him or Conte, personally.
I mean,
Well,
Conte is a generational talent. You want to talk about generation talents? That guy is insane.
He's a hell of a
Right,
player.
name me another DM, right? And you can say Rodri, you can say people like he walks into Liverpool's team, he walks into Chelsea's team.
Doesn't walk
He's
into
better
the
than-
Liverpool team.
I
But
think
again,
he does, mate.
it's a system thing. He's better. Jordan Henson's better than him, but
Jordan Henderson's better than Declan
yeah,
Rice.
but not for footballing reasons. Not for footballing reasons. Jordan Henderson is a lesser footballer than Declan Rice, but Jordan Henderson is a better player, or maybe the other way around. I don't know how I'd word it. The point is, Jordan Henderson is probably the best best
Charlie,
captain
you're
in the
trolling,
league.
mate. Charlie trolling. Move on.
How old is Jordan Henderson?
Jordan Henderson is
How
probably
old
the
is
best
Jordan
captain
Henderson?
in the country. Jordan Henderson walks
Yeah.
into that England team if he's fit, because he is definitely the best captain. Jordan Henderson has captained a Liverpool team to Champions Leagues, to Premier Leagues. Like
He's 30.
Yeah, but he might have
advance
captained
around his
them.
top
Yeah, but
Yeah.
But
he might
it's
be
just a point of
captain,
it's a point of
Charlie.
Yeah,
it's a point of
Let me pose this question back to you, Charlie.
Feel
Who
free,
do you
feel
think
free.
will have a better overall career, Declan Rice or Jordan Henderson?
Jordan Henderson, but that's like at this
That's
stage.
kind
I
of
agree, still up for
where he's
debate.
at.
But I
Depends
think
on where
Declan
he's
Rice
at.
will.
Yeah, of course. But Jordan
Jordan
Henderson
Henderson
Jordan
has
Henderson.
got
You take
three
Jordan,
world-class
you-
players in front of him.
yeah,
Like,
you
when-
take Jordan
and Declan
Henderson out
Rice
of
has got
Liverpool.
Antonio.
Look how much Liverpool have struggled without Jordan Henderson.
I
When you
don't
take
know,
Jordan
mate,
Henderson
like-
out of that team, Liverpool crumble.
Oh,
because
and
he's
Virgil van
vital.
Dijk and a
But
host of
but
other
again-
injuries.
No. I'm talking about before that. I'm not talking about just this season. I'm talking about in general. But again, that's a pointless argument we're having. The point I'm trying to make is, if you have this situation where you're looking at Rice, you're saying, oh, he has a great Euros. Yeah, it's other teams might pay more for him. It still won't match what we value him at. His
Does Jordan
price is where his
Henderson
price
get
is.
two back-to-back man of the match performances for England, though, Charlie? That is the real
Jordan
question.
Henderson's
on.
won the Champions League. I don't think he cares. The point is, he won back-to-back Premier League Champions Leagues. I don't think he gives a shit, frankly. But like, I feel like the answer is, like, we look at it. and
It's
we
a fair
say-
point. It's a fair point.
I feel like we look at it and we say, he will never, like, what we are charging will never be matched by other people. Realistically, at some stage, maybe they match, but they
I
don't.
don't say that.
Declan Declan Rice is a defensive midfielder, which for start really
Box to box.
lowers
It's
his
not a
price.
high money position, right?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's
box to
like
box
he's
for
young
sure.
and he's English, which puts it up. But like, it's not. Tammy Abraham is worth they're saying 40 million for Tammy Abraham, and all of us have probably said that's too much. But that's because he's a striker. You can just go, well, 40 million.
Mate, I
Like,
can't believe what I'm hearing on the chat. I really can't. Henderson's their talisman. You take Van Dijk out of that team, they can't defend.
No, bro. You
can't
take
believe
Van
I'm
Dijk
hearing
out of
that.
that team, they still got third, and they had two youth centre backs. You take
but they
Jordan
got-
Henderson out of that team, they crumble. But again,
Yeah,
that's
but
a
come on,
point.
Charlie. They've
Jordan
got world-class
Henderson-
players, mate.
Yeah, and Jordan Henderson's one of them. But we move on. Like, again, not talented. If you put Jordan Henderson on an AstroTurf pitch down flipping Hackney Marshes or whatever, I'm not saying he's going to be able to beat Salah one-on-one. But you put Jordan Henderson in a dressing room in a football side, it's a different ball game. It's
Right,
the captaincy.
let me
It's
ask
the,
you
it's the
this
thing.
then.
It's like.
Let me
it's
ask you
like-
this.
Henderson's Michael Carrick with a voice.
Yeah,
He's
probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He's good. Honestly, he's good. He does the simple
Not
things
better than
really
Declan
well and
Rice.
makes
I've
everything else
never,
simple.
I've never heard him
But does-
sing. I don't
yeah, but
know.
does-
Yeah.
Oh, voice of an
If
angel.
If Declan Rice was in Manchester City's team or Manchester United's team,
Hmm.
he would be on that level. He's at West Ham. We have got to realise where we are and what station we're at.
You might-
Like,
I honestly think he will be one of the best players England has produced in 20, 30 years.
I agree with that.
really do.
I think.
And just look at him playing against De Bruyne and look
Yeah.
at how other players play against De Bruyne. It's the only one. He's reading the game.
Yeah.
Both matches of Man City, we played him pretty well. He's the only one that can keep up at that level. He sees what's going on. I call him generational. Maybe he's not yet, but he will be. I think he absolutely will be. He's one of the most intelligent players I've ever seen in a West Ham shirt.
I think he'll be one of the most underrated players. You know how Carrick was as well. You know how everyone talks about that Man United side, and no one looks at Michael Carrick really. They look at even when we just had that conversation about like Rio and stuff. It's like you look at Michael Carrick, you're like, that guy had it all, but he gets
Carrick's
underrated
brilliant.
because of his position. Like Carrick was unreal. Like, and it's that similar level of you're looking at a guy who like people aren't going to look at and be like, yo, but yo, like you're missing it. You're missing it. Like it's because you're too busy looking at someone like Salah, for example, and it's a similar case with Henderson, I guess. But it's one of those things where, again, like I don't think his price will go up. So you have to ask yourself, when do you sell? And the answer is when the price is at the highest. And we can sit here and go, oh, well, will the owners spend it correctly? Will David Moyes spend it correctly? It's like, no, probably not. But they're the ones in charge, and they're going to be here regardless.
One thing I do agree with Charlie with. One thing I do agree with Charlie with, yeah, I really do, is that, like, when you look at Payet, for instance, we sold Payet for 25 million. We could have got 80 million.
We are the worst team. We could have sold Lanzini for more, Antonio for more, Chiarte for more. We could have sold Aaron Cresswell for more. He's not even left yet. We could have sold Payet for more. There's so many players over the last just 3-4 years that the only one truly,
Jonathan Cleary.
And this isn't me just popping off at people who are on this channel, but the only person who we truly sold for their worth was James Tompkins. We got a deal that was too good to turn down for him, and that's it. Everyone else we consistently, and again, I like and there's an argument to be made that, say, with Aaron Cresswell, right? We could have sold him arguably at that point for 20 to 25 million to Liverpool. There was a discussion of it being made. Whatever, right? Let's say that was existing. You could say, well, if he stayed and he carried on his performances, maybe that 25 million comes back to you in worth and value and all that stuff. There's all these complicated arguments, right? But realistically, and that's where I'm coming from in the idea of realistically West Ham trying to grow into more. You have to know when to sell your best assets, and then you have to go for it.
I agree with you, but I don't think this summer transfer window is the best time.
I agree. It eventually has to happen. Charlie, I don't think this is the moment in time. Why do we have to keep selling our players to progress when we left 5 years ago? That's the thing that irritates me more than anything.
I agree. Look, no one's more pissed off about it than I do. Like, don't get me wrong. The only good thing about moving to the stadium is it's slightly easier for me to get to because there's one train instead of two. But like, realistically, of course, but we're in that position. I agree. Like, we should be in that position already, but we aren't. And how do we get there? And David, to be fair, I don't necessarily disagree with that. But the only reason I think it's this season is because that's when his price, we're at his peak price now.
You think so? See, I don't know. He's 22.
No, I completely disagree. I don't think we're at his peak price at all. I think
how's the price going to rise any higher?
Before the COVID crisis, he was being it was said he was being sold for 80 million. Now it's 60 million. I think once COVID subsides, you're going to see a renewed enthusiasm with football. I think you're going to see fans supporters just packing the stadiums. I think come a year and a half, clubs are going to have more money to sell. I think this is the worst time to sell a player in world football in as long as I can remember. I'm not even going to put a window on it, but I just think right now is a really bad time to sell a player. In the Premier League and let alone the world of football.
He's 22. He's a defensive midfielder. His expiration date is going to be a lot later than other players will be, if that makes sense. I mean, you can play that position. We just said Jordan Henderson's 30. You can play that position for 8 or 10 years.
Except his £60 million for Declan Rice to be a riot.
Yeah, well, let's say this.
I think there would too.
Let's ask this question then. How much do you think another team right now would pay for Declan Rice?
Do you think he's worth 100 million?
So you genuinely think whatever team you're thinking in your head would come right now and pay 100 million for Declan Rice? I'm not talking about what we should accept. I'm saying, what do you think?
I have an exact answer. Right now, no.
So okay, so then the follow-up question is:
I think Man City or Chelsea in 2 years would pay that 100 million.
I do too.
100%.
They would not pay it now. So why just not wait?
Yeah.
But
that's how I feel too.
What are we wasting our time for?
so that he builds value.
That $40 million is important. Extra £40 million.
Right.
I'm not saying accept. That's what I'm saying. Don't accept the 60. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sitting here saying we should sell Declan Rice for 60 million. I'm saying we say Declan Rice is available for 100 million, and then if anyone's interested, then they come up and they go, here's 50 million, here's Jesse Lingard and 30 million. You go, no, you know what the price is. When you're willing to pay that price, come talk to us. Like, I'm not saying you should talk about selling him for nothing, because again, part of the argument is you need to replace Declan Rice. And so if you're saying, say we sold him for 60 and then we bought, and I don't know who we'd buy for 60 million, right? But say we bought his replacement for 60 million, there's no trajectory there. You're just flatlining. Right. Part of my problem with the Lingard deal was we're going to have to spend 20 to 25 million just to flip him flatline. Otherwise, we're dipping down. Right. That was my problem with that deal. So unless you're getting enough money for him to be able to reinvest in A, replacing him, but B, more importantly, buying players around that, then there's no point. So I'm not saying
that's assuming that those players want to come. And a big reason players want to come to West Ham is Declan Rice. So that is an intangible that you have to work into any kind of valuation. Declan Rice, he's worth 150 million, 150 in my books minimum, because he is worth more to us as a recruitment tool, as an asset, as an ambassador to the club than 100 million. Yeah, sure, a scout too. Than 100 million is worth. I mean, you cannot. It's hard to calculate those intangibles, but that's one of them. Good players want to play with good players. We get rid of Declan Rice, our ability to go and get players as good or that level goes away instantly.
It's a convincing argument, but what I would say is this. I don't necessarily disagree, but again, he's leaving. This was the argument I had last week about Jesse Lingard and whether he's more likely to stay if Declan Rice stays. Maybe, but I don't think he's going to make his next 4-year career decision on a year of getting to hang out with Declan Rice. And I don't mean that as a person. I just mean as a footballer. Yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, players want to play with better players.
Yeah, but he's won things with
the way we get better players is by improving the squad, and we don't improve.
Yeah, but he's won things though, Charlie. He's won things with Man United. Now, where he's been out of the wilderness for a long time, Lingard. Like, he's come to West Ham, he's loved it, he's enjoyed it, he's embraced the club. Sometimes, when you get older and you come towards the end of your career, you want to be happy where you're playing. Like, it's not really about. It's not about the paycheck so much. It's more about if I'm going to go and play for a team and be a big part player. A lot of time,
actually, when you're old, it turns into the paycheck. But I understand. Look, you're talking to a guy who left accountancy to do freelance video production, bro. You're talking to the one guy who definitely put his happiness above literally everything. I haven't earned the money I was earning at 18 since I was 18, and I'm still not there. So you're talking to the one guy who appreciates that argument. What I would say is, again, it's talking about 4-year commitments and not everything else. Like, the thing is, the argument is totally a solid one. And part of my argument for wanting to get Champions League as opposed to Europa League or Europa Conference, despite the fact we could do better in those, was the fact it makes us more attractive. And I think that's totally fair. But again, the realistic counter argument is he is going. It's happening.
But can we sell him for 100 when he's 24 instead of 22? Can we do that in 2 years? I think we still can. I think that's possible. I think what David's saying is, David said it better than I will, but wait 2 years. He if he's not injured, obviously, no catastrophes, obviously, he holds his value. He can absolutely sell for more than he's worth right now because the market will be better. The market should have recovered by then, hopefully.
I'm not saying.
Well, yes and no. Isn't he coming into the last year of his contract in 2 years? Because he signed a 5-year, didn't he? He's 2 years into that.
I think
he might be signed up at some point because we almost.
It's a really good question. I don't know.
So then, if that would be next summer, would be the best time to sell him.
I can't figure out. Yeah. I don't know when his contract comes. It would be, but there's no chance we haven't given him a pay increase. There's no way
they should rearrange terms. They should rearrange terms very soon. I mean, he deserves a bigger paycheck. And even if they tack on a year or two, I mean, that's good enough to at least ensure that when he goes for good money.
The fact that Declan Rice isn't the highest paid player in the squad is kind of wild. Don't get me wrong. I get it. Like, you go and you buy big name players.
He should.
But you know what though? Yeah, but you know what though, Charlie? In one way, that's a good thing. Because he makes him humble.
Respect to him. He hasn't thrown his toys out of the pram as well. He could quite easily do that.
Humble until he finally decides I've had enough. So he's under contract until the summer of 2024. So he's 2 more years. So next summer feels like next summer might be the sweet spot. It really might.
2025 effectively, because they have the option for a further 12 as well.
Okay, well there you go. Okay. Next summer or even the summer after that that feels more like a sweet spot. He's
We
still
should-
in
we
his,
should
he's in his
definitely give him
mid-20s.
That's
He's in
just
his
wild.
mid-20s.
That's when he gets his bumper contract. Stays at
Right.
West Ham for life. Let's do it.
Yes.
Well, that would be fantastic. We all want that. We all want to be in Champions League. Give Declan his upper contract. The club will have sold by then to to an American
Arnautovic bagging
billionaire.
20 at
Charlie, shake his head.
35.
Charlie, how does
Yes.
it feel to advocate
Yes.
for Jordan Hugo more than Declan Rice, Charlie?
Because Jordan Hugo, have you seen the man? For a start.
Yeah, I'm
Jordan
gonna have
Hugo,
to
but
side.
I'll
I'm gonna
tell
have
you-
to side with Charlie on that.
Thank
one.
you very much,
Jordan
Lucas.
Hugo
Correct.
really, really, really wanted to play for us. I'm not saying Declan Rice doesn't, but Jordan Hugo,
I've
never seen anybody who loved West Ham as much as Jordan
Declan Rice
Hugo.
does it. He has a lack of bubbles.
He'll
comments,
be back.
it must be said.
He'll
I
be
mean,
back.
the
trust.
man was just beside
He'll
himself. By the way, I just want to remind everybody of something quickly here. Not that you need reminding, but this was the team that
Oh, God,
went into
stop.
the
Please.
ill-fated tie against Astra Gugu
Ugh.
five years ago.
We should say not our strongest
Super.
11 at the time, though. Let's be
And
real.
Charlie on the
No.
wing, big
Wasn't our
mistake,
strongest
big
left
mistake.
back.
No, I mean you have
Rob
Reed on
Sam
the bench.
Byron
You have,
wasn't our strongest
Shout
right
out
back,
Marcus
but-
Brown.
you have Kouyaté on
Noble
the bench.
wasn't
Who was a
playing.
good player. You have Reed on the bench.
Noble
didn't
Farrell
play
was
at
on
all.
the bench. Yeah.
There's a real lack of players that we bought
I
that summer. in that season
watched
as
that
well.
game in a pub in England. Kayeri missed 2 or 3 near sitters. It was so frustrating.
I was at the game as well.
I mean, Eder Valencia was not that bad a player. I didn't think. Torre was kind of a disaster.
Dog shit.
Obviously, Antonio's still with us. Obiang had that great goal against Spurs. Reece Oxford, I don't know he psyched himself out somehow.
He's doing
Byron
well
we
enough.
sold for $750,000. I mean, that's crazy. Ogbonna, of course, still with us. Reece Burke, another one who flamed out, and it wasn't our best.
Oh,
starting
but this
11.
is
That was-
This is the first leg in Romania, not the leg in London.
This is the
That
first
was the
leg.
first
That's
leg because
correct.
I remember Noble did not play at all in the second leg.
This is the first leg. Yes, you're right.
He was in the
first leg.
stands in the second leg.
Look at that bench.
Yes.
Look at that. Dear God.
I know all of those.
Where's the game changer there?
Brown.
The
He's
fact that Ashley Fletcher got more
Have
game
you-
time, Jordan Hugo
Have
is
you
a
not seen our
fucking
bench
fraud.
recently? Our bench now is not no different. We've got 2 goalkeepers on the bench. You know
Few
what I
more
mean?
goalies these days, yeah.
So let me say this. Declan Rice is shit. No, look. The point is, the thing is, right? The thing is, I do genuinely like stuff like, for example, I say the stuff like Thomas Souček is more important in the team, the way the team works, believing it, but knowing no one's ever going to agree with me. So I just lob it out there because screw it, why not? I don't really care, but it is true. But the thing is like, it's just realism. That's all it is. That's all it's talking. Like, and for example, when I was on the show with Irish Tommy, and we were talking about the idea of like going full out for Europe and all of this other stuff, and it's like the reason I'm excited for us in Europe is not necessarily because we're in Europe, although Bants, let's go. It's because all of a sudden we have something more we can offer to try and grow West Ham United. I don't want to be in Europe once. I want to be in Europe, I want to fight for Europe consistently.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I get
and as
that.
much
I
as
do.
and as much as and with the Declan Rice thing, as much as it sucks, and I don't want to see Declan Rice leave, that increases our chances, in my opinion, of being able to grow the club. And I'm not talking about this year. I might not even be talking about next year. You know, when they sold Bale and they bought in 7 players, they didn't all work out. If anything, if the majority of them didn't. But all of a sudden they had way more assets than they had previously, so they could continue to build. And the ones that worked out. Lamella got goal of the season.
Yeah,
right?
but they
And he
didn't
was
win
one of-
nothing though, Charlie.
No, but
Goal
they
of the
went
season.
from being a flipping nothing club to being a Champions League contender at all times. They
But
went
they
from
didn't win
being
the
nothing club to
They
being
didn't win the
able
Betway Cup, Charlie.
to being able to hold. No,
The
listen to
only
me.
trophy that really matters.
They went from being able to like, we might get 6th this year, to being able to keep Harry Kane this long. It's only now
Charlie,
he's finally
They
given up.
didn't win the Premier Asia Trophy in like the Philippines or somewhere.
We can all look and go, Harry Kane's leaving and everything else. This, that, and the other. Bro, they managed to convince him for that long to stay. Why are we looking at Declan Rice? Let's think about the next Declan Rice as well. As much as and it might not come along for a while. Don't get me wrong.
There may not be a next
I want the
Declan
club
Rice.
to be at a stage where we can say to the next Declan Rice, yeah, you're gonna stay and you're gonna be.
But is there going to be a
team
next
that's
Declan
actually
Rice?
growing.
I mean, that's the
Of course
question to me:
there
is will there be a
There's
next Declan
always
Rice?
another
I don't know.
Declan Rice. It's just a case.
think
and
so?
again, The club's
Bird
not
in the
running.
hand, Charlie. Bird in the hand.
Club is not. Yeah, but bruv, bird in the hand. What's
Not
the
at
bird
West
in the hand getting us? We don't even win the Betway Cup most years. What's that getting us?
It's coming. A bird in the hand is worth two in the Huang there, Charlie. You got to keep the faith with this stuff.
Wait a minute,
If there's two Hwangs out there
even
gunning for him, bruv. I don't think
this is
you
even
understand.
better.
Let me ask you this, Charlie. Let me ask you this quickly, right? What do you expect for us to change if we sold Declan Rice?
We had
That's
money
more
to
to the
spend
point.
to start.
Yeah, no, but we've always had money to a point.
How
and
many
we've always spent
players
it.
did you say we need
These
earlier?
lineups
6.
are pissing me off.
Yeah,
Where
but
you get? Where you
Look at
get
this. This was the second leg. This was the second leg. This
Charlie
was the
just
second leg.
never wants to improve. He wants our players to get so good that we sell them and buy more mediocre players so we
seller.
can bring through
No,
more players to sell.
You have to do it. You can't not. You
Look
just
at your man in the
sit
center. Hang
there
on. Look at your man in the center here. For this is the second leg against Gugu.
I'm just going to
years
say
ago.
that.
Nortvite, Torre,
Yeah, but Charlie, you know
Cagliari,
full well, mate.
The problem
Byram.
You know full well.
is you keep dropping me things that I will go. And Havard Nordveit is an all right player, but I can't say that now because it's a different argument and it makes me lose all credibility. But I'm just
I'm just
I can't say it right now. I really want to. I really want to talk about how Havard Nordveit was the flipping
it's true.
DM that we needed, but for some reason we were. But that's a different story for a different.
It was all right. It just didn't work out.
I know. All I want to, the real reason I brought these up was because this is awful.
But again, that was our first team. Like Adrian, we wouldn't have played Byram. We wouldn't have.
I know. It wasn't our strongest team, but
we. Oh, Bonner's had some shit partners, isn't he? Let's be honest.
We would struggle to put out a team this bad right now. Honestly, I mean, I think we've come a long way. I really do. This is.
Well, that's because we've only got 11 players.
Well, maybe that's part of my point. But no, I mean, this is Torre, Cagliari, Nortvite, Byram, Burke.
Right. Cagliari is better than Yarmolenko at the minute. You know what I mean? Jonathan Cagliari.
Okay, but we're not going to start Yarmolenko, I don't think, in under any circumstances. Do you?
I'm not sure Cagliari ever knew who he was playing for. Every picture he ever took, he just looked confused.
Bro, the guy was bought by a Uruguayan second division side to sell the most dodgy deal you've ever seen in your life. I don't think he knew where he was coming or going.
I don't think he knew where he was, honestly. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the club pictures, and Lee, you're the Google master, he just kind of stands there like...
Yeah, he looks very bright-eyed and foolish.
Yeah.
Am I here? Is this really happening?
There we go. Hang on. Here we go.
The only thing he knew is that he might be playing a game of football today.
Yeah. There you go.
There he is. There he is. Look at this is what he sees Wang on the pitch. That's what. Anyway.
That's the face he pulls when Charlie keeps talking about Rice being sold.
Right. When Charlie said we should sell Rice, that's what
that's what he's thinking right there. He's like, really.
I do get what you're saying, Charlie. I mean,
I do too. Actually,
really enjoy giving you a hard time. To be honest, that's my favorite part of coming out on a Wednesday.
Yeah, go wild, bro. I don't mind.
I get the Suchek piece because we would really have a hard time finding another midfielder that's going to get us 10 goals a season if he can keep that up. So in that regard,
I'm not sure he's going to do that again next season.
To be honest, because we can find a defensive midfielder that's got an engine, but very hard to find a central midfielder that's going to get you 10 goals a season. So I understand that. I completely understand that.
He really is. Look at him.
So confused.
He really does. This is like every yearbook picture when I was in high school.
He looks like he's been kidnapped and like been forced to wear the West Ham shirt.
I think that's exactly what happened. I think that's exactly what happened. He was kidnapped and forced to wear the shirt.
I can't remember.
He's just got like an entourage of mousy-looking girls in the background.
They should be happy about that.
I can't remember what the job title is, but there is someone at West Ham whose job is like, and every club has one, to like integrate new players and to welcome them. They were definitely away that day sick because he looked scared and confused and does not know what's happening.
Does West Ham have that, or do we just have a fluffer?
Oh, we have Thomas Suchek, and then he just goes and buys his mates. It's really nice.
Thomas Suchek is our scout. He's the only scout we have, and he's an excellent scout. He's literally Thomas Suchek is like, he and Declan Rice are the club right now, basically. But yeah, Cagliari, who signed this guy who looks like that? I mean, just who looked at him and said, I don't know.
But again, we got him on loan from a Uruguayan second division side, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and I know stuff about World Soccer. It's Deportivo Maldonado, and they had this shady thing where it was like agent driven, where no matter what player they sold, the agent would get like 30% of the money. It was like it was almost like a financial
sounds like a
shady thing going on. It was near like Carlos Tevez type stuff.
Dave, you got the shirt?
Deportivo Maldonado. Is that anything to do with Candy Maldonado? You guys remember Candy Maldonado? Probably.
Candy Maldonado. I used to love that player. Yeah.
There you go. You know what I'm talking about. Candy Maldonado.
Candy Maldonado. Who didn't love him?
Yeah. Long time baseball
Rulli,
player.
who was in goal for Villarreal in the final earlier on today, he went through Deportivo Maldonado. There's a couple of players who have.
Who did?
Rulli, the guy who was in goal for Villarreal today, among others. There's a lot of them. It's all very shady, as David said. It's all very shady.
There's Candy Maldonado as a Giant, which is how I remember him best. Yeah, he was a good player. His name was Candy. I mean, the only problem I have with Tammy Abraham is that Tammy Abraham has the name of a girl born in Texas in like 1970. Like Tammy was a very common girl's name among girls my age, and I just.
But it's not a girl name in England, right?
Is it not? I think it is.
It is. It is.
Tammy's the sort of.
Let's pronounce his real name again.
It's not Tamra. I thought it was short for Tamra, because here Tammy is short for Tamra, of course.
Oh, so I apologize. I didn't know Tammy was a girl's name too in England.
Yeah, Tammy's a sort of bird's name that you sort of meet in a pub after a few drinks. And,
up north?
Just, up north somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, up north.
Yeah.
It's always difficult when you got somebody with two first names. Says John Nolan.
It's not really difficult. Well, Nolan's not really well, I guess it can be. Like Nolan Cromwell, but here we go. Kevin. Well, his name's Kevin, really, isn't it? His name's Kevin. Kevin? Oh, Lord. I don't know what that one is.
Ogenetega Tamarabi Bakumo Abraham.
Do me a favor, Lee. Can you just look up his brother's name for me, please? I'm sure we did this on the show.
We did this on the show, but I don't remember his brother's name. And
look up his brother's name. It'll be under personal life or something on the.
Oh yeah,
act like you've been there before, Lee.
I have been here before. That's the sad thing. Here we go. Tammy and Timmy. At least Timmy's a guy's name. His name's Jason. Why aren't they Kevin and Jason? What's wrong with being Kevin and Jason? Those.
Like a fucking 90s boy band.
Those are
Kevin and Perry go large.
Bakumo Abraham.
Kevin and Perry go large.
Look at that one. That's crazy. God, he's so young. Anyway.
Timmy and Tammy, come on, mate. That's how it depends, isn't it?
Why aren't they Kevin and Jason? Kevin and Jason were very common names in the 70s for boys. So a lot of people my age in their 40s are named, you know this, David, right? Kevin and Jason. They're all there everywhere. Tons of them. What's wrong with Kevin and Jason? He's got to be Timmy and Tammy? That's terrible. I'm totally against signing him now. Against signing his brothers too.
That's like Bill and Ben, the flower pot man, isn't it? Timmy and Tammy.
Timmy and Tammy. We got a third brother called Tommy. I really do.
It's like a terrible comedy duo from the '60s. Timmy and Tammy, or even from the vaudeville. You know what I mean? Like the '20s.
Is it just two of them?
Huh?
Yeah.
Is it just two of them?
Yeah,
I think so.
He doesn't have another brother.
No, Tommy, come on.
No. Well, he does. He does have another brother. His real name's Tommy, but he goes by Kevin, so it's just a bit awkward. No, there's no other brothers. There's no other brothers.
So their parents named him Kevin and Jason, and they ended up Timmy and Tammy. That's disappointing. That is really disappointing. He plays for Wraith Rovers on loan from Fulham, and he has scored 0 goals in 7 appearances for Wraith Rovers, so may not have as successful a career.
Sign him up.
Bit of a Frank Stallone situation, right? Yeah, bit of a Anyway, who was it? Who was the actor whose brother had like a hit song? It was just the one song. I'm trying to think of who that was.
Nick Cannon.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
No.
Was it?
Anyway, I'll think of it.
Michael Caine.
Barry Manilow.
No.
Yeah,
It's Michael
a very
Penn.
general question.
No, Michael Penn, Sean Penn's brother, had a song called "No Myth" in the '90s. It was a pretty good little tune, actually. I liked it. Yeah. Michael Penn. That's right. That's right.
Not Barry Manilow.
He's Sean Penn's brother. Barry Manilow still does Vegas.
But
Yeah.
then Sean Penn's brother went into acting, Michael Penn.
What about
he?
Big Penn? What about
Yeah.
Big Penn?
Michael
He
Penn
was-
has been in some movies.
Has
What
he
about
been in
Big-
movies?
What about
Cisco.
Big
Yeah,
Penn?
let me look this up right now.
What about him?
The song.
Penn State.
Yes.
I don't think he's been in any movies. No.
Big Huang.
Oh, actually,
I'm positive.
Baby.
What?
he had a single called "No Myth." It's a catchy. To 1989, as a matter of fact, I was in high school. 1989.
No, but see, Michael Penn is not Sean Penn's brother.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, for God's sake! What?
No.
Sure, he is.
Right, can we all Google this, please? Chat.
Yeah,
Get on
That's
it.
what
Wikipedia.
I'm
we need
looking up
some-
right now.
He's
Why do
the
we
brother.
care? Sean Penn's a bit of a twat, isn't he?
Well, I mean, maybe.
Yeah, he's a
okay,
huge
okay,
twat.
okay.
He's
okay.
no Sean Bean. I can tell you that much. You know what I mean?
All right. So
Was he married to Madonna?
yes, he
Sean
was.
Penn.
Sean Penn.
Was
Okay,
he?
so here we go. Michael Penn. All right, here we
Yeah.
go. Born and bred in
Oh.
I thought Madonna was
Here-
married
no,
to Guy
here we go,
Ritchie.
Lee.
He's been
Sean
married
Penn
to
has
everybody.
two brothers, Michael
Not me.
Penn and
Yes.
Chris Penn.
Timmy and
Chris
Sammy Penn.
the one who's in all the movies.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Okay, so Michael Penn wrote a song.
Yeah, because I know Michael Penn. He's in movies and stuff.
Yeah, so you have Tammy and Timmy Abraham. Tammy Abraham is like Sean Penn. Timmy Abraham is Michael Penn, or maybe Chris Penn. I don't know much about Chris Penn, but anyway, that's kind of what you have. Well, he didn't really have the looks, does he? Wow, that's
Lee,
That's
just
really
take that shot.
unfortunate.
Definitely not Italian.
Yeah, he was in True Romance. True Romance is good.
that's just a 20-year-old picture.
That looks
there.
like Charlie, that does. He looks like Charlie a bit there without the beard.
It's a 20-year-old picture, to be fair.
James, do you want to fight?
But that's unfortunate.
He was in Rush Hour.
Well, that's pretty good. Yeah. There's
That is John Nolan,
Sean.
that is.
We all know. We
That's
all know.
John Nolan.
Fall.
right
That
there.
was good.
Get out of here.
Corky Romano, not good. Starsky
Yeah,
Sean
and
he's
Penn,
married.
you know.
He was married to Madonna. Look, this is
Yeah, he was
this
married. No, I remember that. I remember that wedding. He shot it. He
play.
had a
Most
handgun.
people would be married to Madonna at
No,
this point.
Sean Penn's just a total douchebag, biggest douchebag of all time.
He is a douchebag. That's true. You're right
Thanks,
about that.
James. Thank you.
But Michael
bad.
Penn wrote a catchy tune
Sorry,
that I
man.
really like. So sometimes Timmy Abraham is.
He was in that
It's
weird
better
film,
than
though, The
Italian.
Game, wasn't it? He was in the film The Game with Michael Douglas. That's the
Michael
weirdest film
Douglas.
ever.
Oh, that was. I liked it.
The game.
I liked the
That
game.
sounds
The Game,
right.
I think it's called.
Yep,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah,
film,
I
mate.
don't. Yeah, Sean Penn. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he's such a great guy.
No, he's totally pretentious and a douche, and I don't like him at all.
Yeah.
Remember, he
yeah.
went down and interviewed El Chapo, and then he had like a whole Rolling Stone interview, and he was like,
"Oh, that's
"Think about
right."
it. El Chapo is just a product of the system, and like he's a victim of human rights, man."
Oh,
and
you're
like,
right. You're right. He also
He may be a
also-
victim of the
That very
system, but he's definitely
anti-Penn
a terrible human being, and
he
he's
was
not,
the big
you know,
supporter
like.
of.
He's a little preachy.
He was
He's a
a
little
big
So
Hugo
what?
Chavez guy. He was a Hugo Chavez guy too.
Do you know what? Dave's
Hugo
doing a
Chavez,
good
not
impression.
A good dude. Not a good
Do
dude.
that impression again, Dave. I want to hear that again one more time. Remix. Let's go.
Well, you know, Chapo, it's like a complicated system, and like he's a victim. And, like,
Well, you know,
how
man,
are we
like
to judge
ew,
him,
oppression,
man?
man. It's
There's
just
larger issues. There's larger issues.
Why does he sound like Bill and Ted Excellent Adventures there? I mean, it's just like Bill and Ted, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm sure it's a terrible impression, but that's what I'm going with.
I respect it.
Bill and-
The impression's not trying to sound like someone is so the other person knows who you're talking about, and we all knew, David. We all knew. You know, that's the key to a good impression.
He must be related to Bono, right? They must be.
Oh,
Ooh, there's another super
No,
pretentious
Bono
dude.
is just man. He has outstayed his. He's outstayed his welcome by years.
yeah.
Oh, I actually have an impression of Bono just because I remember it of an interview. Did he go?
Go with Dave.
He was
Let's
talking
hear it,
about.
Dave.
He was talking
Let's hear
about
it.
Eminem, and he was like, when Johnny Cash said he shot a man in Reno to watch him die, he didn't really mean it.
He did say that. He
Because
said
he was talking about like
exactly that
Eminem
phrase.
isn't really homophobic. He doesn't really mean it.
He said exactly that.
I want to
phrase.
hear that again.
Yeah, that's exactly his
Hey,
quote.
put your Celtic shirt on and do that again. Go on.
Yeah, do that again, mate. I've got
Oh,
to
no,
No, that's and he said
the second impression is never as good as the first one.
that's true. The first one is the golden. It's the golden impression. Bono, yeah. This is a song Charles Manson stole from the Beatles. We're
Legend.
stealing it back. Yeah, no, Bono is terrible. I'm saying he's terrible.
Oh, he sucks so bad. And I actually liked early U2. I like 1980 to 1980.
I love
nothing
them.
was
Everything
worse
after
than-
that.
Right.
Nothing was worse when they forced that YouTube album onto our
And nobody
iPod.
wants.
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's still fucking
Still
there.
there.
People complained. They were like,
Still
we
there.
don't want
Same thing.
YouTube's free music. We
It's
would rather
on my
not have
iPad. It's on my iPad to this day. I never wanted it. I don't want it. I never wanted it.
See, this is why you get dodgy knockoff Chinese phones like I do, bruv. There's nothing on here but spyware. I'm calm, bruv.
Did
No
you buy that
YouTube
behind?
album.
Did you buy that behind the West Ham Training Center off the off of Savio, who's selling them back there
I
now?
bought it from Carphone Warehouse, and I'm not joking you. The salesperson went, "Are you sure?"
Pablo
I was
Barrera's
like,
back there
yes.
selling cell phones behind the yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I liked U2 until about 1992, and then it,
Oh,
I mean, really
Beautiful
fell off the
Days are
cliff.
banging.
Oh,
You can't tell
The
me.
pop tour. Is that the pop
Well,
tour?
okay.
It's all about
Joshua
Coldplay.
Tree, though.
Beautiful
Beautiful
Days
Day
it
was-
must have been later than that.
Banging.
Must have been later than that.
Which one, James?
Joshua Tree album.
Oh, it's a great album. It's one of the
Great
best
Oh,
albums
it's a
ever
great
made.
album. Agreed.
Superb album.
Mm.
That was their peak. That was the best they ever got.
Yeah.
But Beautiful Day was.
Absolutely.
But when was Beautiful Day? Was it still in
That
the
must-
90s?
That was the comeback. That album was
That
the
was early
comeback. Really. 'Cause They had
00s,
they had that low period, didn't they?
Yeah.
What's that
They had-
song?
they had a-
What was it? The Zoo Tour, pop, whatever it was. They just
Zoo
went
They
to
had-
shit.
Zoo Roper
yeah,
was when they
Zoo
started to
Roper.
go bad.
That was bad. Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
the
Zoo
U2
Roper.
song when he's in the car? Come on, you must know that when he's in the
The
car.
U2 song where
In the
he's in the
car?
car.
I know what you mean, but I
Yeah.
think I was gone by that point.
Is it like a
Yeah.
video? I don't know. See, I
Yeah.
dropped him in the early 90s.
Oh, what's it
I
You
saw
picked
them-
up Coldplay, right?
No,
Is it he's got boys over there. I think.
no, I dropped all in the early 90s. I started listening to nothing but 70s music, and that's pretty much
we
where I am
we
today.
cannot have Coldplay slander.
You just
I
gave
won't
up.
stand for it.
Oh, yeah,
I did give up. I don't know much about Coldplay, to be honest. So I don't.
They're
know.
the
I'm not
greatest
slandering,
band
I
of
don't
all
know.
time. That's
I'll
all
tell
you
you
need
one
to
band.
know.
I'll tell you two.
That's all you
One
need to know.
that I'll tell you
You
the
don't
one
need to
band
know.
I hate more than any. The band I hate the most is Dave Matthews Band. I'm sorry.
Oh, they're awful. They're awful.
I
Yeah.
cannot.
Yes,
I
I'm with
can't-
you, Lee. I'm with you.
I'm sorry. I can't. Just my personal thing.
In the
If
morning.
If you like them, that's fine. I don't like them. All right. Then
Can
Maroon,
you,
the other
can you
one. The
tell
other
one
one.
of their songs apart? It all sounds the
No.
same.
The other one is Maroon 5. I can't stand Maroon 5, and I know that's.
Oh,
Lee just taking shots.
Nickelback.
Fresh Field is saying the sweetest thing. Is that the one you're on about, James?
That's
I mean,
the one,
Nickelback is awful.
That's
That's a
the
good
one.
track. That's all right.
I never have to listen. I mean, Dave Matthews sneaks up on you, like in public. You know what I mean? And my ex-wife loved Maroon 5, and Maroon 5 was like everywhere. And I can't. And I know I'm going back 15 years here, but I don't care. I can't, or more than that. I can't stay. I don't like Maroon 5. I can't stand Dave Matthews because every now and then it floats around me, and I'm like, get away. Nickelback never does that. You never hear. I've never heard them in 20 years. Who cares? I'm never going to hear them.
Thank
I don't
God.
have to. That's what I'm saying. I don't have to. Yeah. There are people who like them. That's fine. Those guys have made a lot of money and been very successful. I mean, they have. So
Doesn't mean they're good, but yeah.
No, they're not good. But for all the people who hate them,
Red
I
Hot
mean-
Chili Peppers.
Oh,
Oh, another band. Yes, James, who totally
Yes.
fell off. Their early work.
they
was
were
great.
great
no,
in the
okay.
80s.
okay,
stuff.
okay,
Totally
okay.
shacked the band.
No.
Great in the
Oh,
80s.
they're
I'm not
so
look,
unbearable.
no. Their early stuff, I will say, is significantly better. But you cannot tell me at any point you won't listen to Dark Necessities of their last album and think this fucking slaps. That song,
Well,
great.
I've never heard it, so I
When
don't
was
know.
that?
Dark
I've never heard
Necessities
it.
of their last album.
I
can't
love
remember
Blood
what the album's
Sugar
called.
Sex Magic. That was great.
No.
Now, Tommy,
Again, their early stuff is
Tommy,
excellent, but come on,
Meatloaf is
come on.
from Texas, so I have to like Meatloaf. All right?
Watch your
you know,
tone, Tommy.
Meatloaf is a Texan. All right, so yeah, Bad Out of Hell is one of the greatest. Well, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. I mean, I don't hate
See, this
meatloaf.
this is what you got to learn, Lee. When you're taking an unnecessarily strong stance on something, you have to stick to it. You can't back down. Once you're there, you got to stay on it. You started saying it was one of the best albums, so you've got to stay on that. And then once you're there and people question you, you've got to come up with excuses.
Ken is right about this. If Sean Penn only did one great thing in his career, it was Spicoli as Fast. It was Spicoli on Fast Times. That's a great movie, Fast Times. Please tell me you've all seen that movie. Come on.
I watched Mean Girls this week. I ain't seen.
I love Mean Girls. It's a great movie. Mean Girls is a great movie. And I love
it was
Tina Fey.
It was better than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it.
Charles Walsh.
I'm a huge fan of Tina Fey.
I thought Mean Girls would be a film that I would really like overall, but I would hate the first 90% of. I was wrong. It's a good film all the way through. Good film.
But Spicoli in Fast. I mean, Fast Times is a great American movie. It really is. And I can't believe nobody's responding to this, but it's
did you
40 years
know
old.
that Rachel McAdams was 26 when she filmed Mean Girls?
Did you know on Tuesdays Charlie wears pink?
I did not.
Okay, have you seen Dairy Girls?
I just ain't changed yet.
Have you seen Dairy Girls? Anybody? Dairy Girls?
I've seen the first episode.
I've seen Golden Girls.
To see all of it. But...
Dairy Girls is good. One of their teenage girls.
Showgirls. Right?
Oh, with Elizabeth Hurley. Is that her name? Elizabeth Hurley? I think that's her name. Dairy Girls is a good show. I like it. But anyway, they're supposed to be teenagers in Northern Ireland in the 80s. One of the women, I say women, who's one who plays one of the teenagers, is 33 years old.
Yeah.
She's 33 years old. She's playing like a 15-year-old. And you wouldn't know it, but I mean, but then remember
I think the same thing went on in Beverly Hills 90210.
Yes, Ian Ziering was like 70 or something. You know, Ian Ziering was I think he's older than I am. Yeah, Ian's of course that show is those people are about my age actually. Now that I think about it. It was on when I was in high school. Ian Ziering is 57 years old. He's 10 years older than I am. So when he was on that show, I mean that he was born in 1964, and I remember watching that show in like 1990. He was like 30.
What is the comment that Tommy's just put up about?
I know. No, that's cool. We can move on. We can move.
We need to.
He said that he's always hated meatloaf, and you know, it is what it is.
That's a famous scene in Fast Times.
Tommy, I gotta respect that, brother, because we've all been there. Okay, Phoebe Cates in Fast Times. Come on, Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe girl.
Elizabeth, what's her name then? What's her name? Who's in Showgirls? She was in Saved by the Bell. She was in Showgirls. What's her name?
No, Elizabeth Hurley was in Showgirls, I think.
Who's Elizabeth Hurley?
What's the name? What's the name of the girl? Okay. Elizabeth Hurley's English. I got mixed up.
She was in Saved by the Bell, right? What's her name?
Isn't that her name?
Yeah, I thought it was. Now I'm like doubting myself.
Oh no, it's Elizabeth Berkley.
Berkeley.
You know what? I got mixed. It's my fault. Elizabeth Hurley's English. And Elizabeth Berkley was in Showgirls. Yes, that's my fault. You're right. Whoever said that, sorry, Fo. You're right about that.
Go cheesy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Elizabeth Berkley, who of course played Jessie Spano in Saved by the Bell.
It's the one. She was so excited.
Yes, so scared. Because she was on caffeine pills.
Yeah.
It really tapped into the ethos of teenage angst. Get those caffeine pills. They're all my age. All those Saved by the Bell people are in their 40s now. They're all. She's 48. She's 46. I'm 47. We're all the same age, basically. I don't know what that tells you. Maybe it doesn't tell you anything. But so it tells you that I was.
I will do, mate. I will do. I will thank you later. I'll drop you a DM.
Yeah, I'll let you. I will let you take care of that yourselves. Okay, I'm not gonna. I won't pull that one up for you. But Elizabeth Hurley is no. Elizabeth Hurley
will be out.
Wait, Screech died.
Yeah,
Screech had some problems. Screech had some problems. Screech had some issues.
Yeah, but
rest in
we've all got
peace.
issues, really.
All those kids who get famous young, dude.
This is what I was. It's a very American thing for kids who get famous young to have problems. Like, don't get me wrong, we have our share, we have a fair share, but for some reason it doesn't happen half as much over here as it does in America, and I don't know why.
Well, just like Prince Harry.
You know why?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Because this is the big time, baby. This is the big time. None of that small potatoes BBC crap, baby. This is Hollywood. This is the big time. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
was thinking more Harry Potter, but we'll move on.
No, Harry Potter. No.
Oh yeah, Daniel Radcliffe turned out okay.
Did he?
Yeah, he
he seems normal to me.
To be fair, Daniel Radcliffe had a very brief stint as an alcoholic, but he came off the other side. Of the other ones, nailed it. Also, unreal Potter puppet pals reference there. Thank you very much. I heard that. Don't think I did. Ron
Weasley.
Dumbledore. But the point is that Harry he had a very brief stint as an alcoholic, but apart from that, he's been fine. Emma Watson, Rupert Grint,
aren't we all?
living his life.
What about Macaulay Culkin? He was a bit of a cracker.
Oh, he was a mess.
Yeah, he had some problems. He had some problems.
He was an absolute mess.
Dude, Screech
Still
pulled a
does.
knife on somebody.
It's not past tense. He's nuts.
Screech pulled a blade on somebody in a bar. Did you know about this?
Yeah.
Screech pulled a blade on somebody in a bar in Wisconsin.
Was it the Max?
It was the Max. It was a Peach Pit. No, he crossed over to the Peach Pit and he stabbed Dylan in the Peach Pit. Was that what it was called? The Peach Pit on 90210?
Yeah, Beverly Hills 90210 place was called the Peach Pit.
Right. I was in high school. Well, as I said, they're all my age. I was in high school, except Ian Zurich, who's 10 years older. I was in high school when that show started, and I watched it. Everybody watched it. The first.
I was in 5th grade, but my sister watched it, so I watched it with her.
Yeah, and the first season after that, I
They all
didn't
say.
really care.
There's someone else was. I wasn't watching Paw Patrol. Someone else was watching it in the house, mate. We all know what happens in Paw Patrol.
I've seen every episode of Paw Patrol.
Don't get me wrong, I was into it. It wasn't
Bangers.
like she's forcing me.
Right.
Bangers. That little dog with the fire engine outfit or whatever. Bangers, mate. Bangers.
Here's how into it I was. Does anyone remember the episode where Emily Valentine gave Brandon the euphoria? It was ecstasy, and then she like made out with him or had
Yes!
sex with him. It was like
I
she
was
made
out that night, Dave.
euphoria.
I was out on the piss somewhere, probably.
It was
Not
a
gonna lie,
classic 90210 episode. Let me tell you.
The Sky
I am,
Plus weren't working that night.
I'm 47. For anyone who wants to know, I'm 47 until December. So there you go. I'm in this group. I'm like the oldest person here.
How old is that in French years, Lee?
When's your birthday in December, Lee?
December 20th.
I'm 16th.
Oh, really? Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I'm 5 days older than Jesus. So, yeah.
5 days older than Jesus.
My grandmother was born on the 19th, and we always did our birthdays together when I was little. So that was kind of nice. That was fun. Yeah. December 20th, 1973. Great year, by the way. Not really. Not a particularly good year, actually, at all. But, I left that up there, didn't I? All right. There we go. All right. Why is your mind blown? Is this a surprise to you? Do I look older? I probably look older. Although, let me tell you something, brothers. If you can do this at 47, you do it. Okay. If you can do this, if you
I
still
was
got
going to
it.
say this
I
last
can't
week.
believe.
When you turned around and faced the other way for a second, I knew you've got long hair, but I was like, "Yo, Lee's doing bits right now."
It's pretty like it's got because I haven't had it cut in a long time. It's covered.
Just for men.
It might be covering up Lanzini down there. I don't know. It's covering up Lanzini.
The
L'Oreal,
Pantene.
because he's
Yeah.
worth it. It'll be.
I use 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner because I don't. Otherwise, it takes too long. But it is Pantene. It's Pantene. It's the Pantene 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner, and I also use it in the beard. And I have to say, it works pretty well.
It does, you know. This is a good thing. When I started doing that, and I was like, I'm here for it. I'm here.
Pantene.
The beard is soft and supple. Yeah. And then I'm going to tell you something else. The rest of me, surprisingly, not hairy. So
Really?
true. Yep.
I don't know if I believe you.
All concentrated from here up. I'm serious about this. Yeah.
Can we just get a quick one of those to your?
It's not that bad. It's just it's regular. I mean, you see, it's regular.
Legs. Show us the legs.
Well, I mean, it's too hard to do that
Just
when the camera is.
don't get the wang out. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the
Wang
camera,
in.
the camera can't pan back that far, so yeah. I have hair heroes. You guys know this, right? That there are certain people whose hair I admire.
What?
Yeah, hair heroes.
Jennifer Aniston.
No. They're dudes. They're guy hair heroes, like men with great hair.
How dare you, Charlie? They are dudes.
Why would I?
That's who he looks like. He looks like the geezer out of Sons of Anarchy. That's who it
Oh,
comes.
see, I've never seen that show.
Sons of Anarchy, mate. Yeah,
It's probably
Great show.
really good. I mean, look, I'll show you. I'll tell you. All right.
Harris banger.
Check
Ain't
this
got the
guy.
lead.
Hang
It's
on.
got
Hang
the
on.
lead from the Green Street. Is the fella in there, isn't it?
Check out the late
Oh
great.
shit! I was wondering where you were going there for
No,
a
it's,
second.
I love when Lee has to click
check
something
out check out
screen. It's
check
great.
out the
I have
late
no
great
idea.
He is unraveling.
Conway Twitty.
Heroes.
Look at that. Look at that.
That is
Oh,
great hair.
That guy
He
had.
looks like
that.
my old
What a-
dinner
what a
lady. Look at
man.
him.
He
What
looks
a
like that guy
man.
who went into Big Brother that one time.
He has
I
his
can't remember
initials on a pendant. Okay.
Mate, every dinner lady in the 90s looked like that.
I'm just no. This is
Everyone's grandma.
So Conway Twitty was a country singer in the mostly 60s and 70s, a little bit in the 80s, and he's the one you see him on Family. They do Family Guy cutaways to him sometimes. He died. I don't know when he died, but anyway, look at that hair. I mean, that's man.
He
Yeah,
does look He does look disturbingly like my nan. I can't lie. He does. That hair is.
Well,
very,
then your nan
my
has
had that
fantastic hair. Your nan has brilliant hair. Let me just say
It's
that.
so round. It's so round.
No, that's. I wouldn't say hairless. That's. I don't want to exaggerate. I don't go that far. Yeah, he's the first. There's sometimes I'll just see somebody on TV to be like, that dude has nice hair. Now, when I was growing up, small town Texas, I went to a public school. Okay, not a private school, public school, but we had a strict dress code, and boys could not have hair past their collars. Right. And in the 80s, when I was in middle school, I wanted to have hair like John Bon Jovi, or like Bret Michaels, right? I had wanted that, but I couldn't. I wasn't allowed to at school. So now here I am 47 years later. This is my big middle finger to like Midlothian middle school and high school. So
Fuck
See,
the
when I was
system.
in my
That's what I'm doing. What I'm doing.
The yearbook at the end of secondary school, and like they have like they
we
gave out
did.
like awards and stuff, and my one was just hairiest. So everyone else was like most likely to do this, most likely to do this, and then my head of year was like, nah, Charlie, hairiest, and I was like, cheers, miss, appreciate that.
But did the kids vote on that, or did they just give? Oh, look at me. I
No.
kinda
The
do look like
teachers,
this guy.
the teachers gave it to you.
The teachers. The teachers gave it to you.
Listen, my head of year, who was also my English teacher,
That sounds odd.
she was like, nope, you're having that, and I was like, why? I mean, admittedly, I had the longest hair and beard in the world, but still, like, why? Why you got at me like this?
I see. I couldn't. I wasn't allowed, and I was. So I was oppressed. I do kind of look like this guy. He's right about that. I don't know who that is. I don't know who
Who's
that
this
is. But
geezer?
Is
Mark
that
Boone.
Sons of Anarchy?
This is
That is you, though.
Mark Boone Jr.
Yeah,
Right,
Sons
Mark
of
Boone
Anarchy.
Jr. I like the way you put the superfluous in your abbreviation of junior in England. We just say JR. Period. Right. So you have the N in there, which seems like
I'm
overkill.
still saying you look like the hairy bikers. I still think you should be the third hairy biker, and that's such an English.
Oh,
reference.
we looked at those guys at one point. Yeah.
You
Who's
would be
the
perfect for
chefs,
hairy biker.
Charlie? Who's the two chefs that do
The hairy
stuff like
bikers.
that? Oh, the
Yeah,
hairy
that's-
bikers, is it?
yeah. I'm saying Lee should be the third one of them. It would be amazing.
Peach has shown up. Oh, it's a party now. Absolutely
Google
party
it,
now.
Lee. Google it. Hairy
The hairy-
bikers.
Oh God, I'm afraid of what I'll come up with. But okay,
Safe search.
I'm
on.
not
Safe search
real
on.
sure I want to do this.
I know you're an
No,
incognito.
it's fine.
but
Okay,
safe
it's
search
okay. No, that's okay. Good. All right. Oof, I'm not going to scroll down just real far on this
don't.
image search.
Hairy biker, you'd be an amazing third hairy biker. I reckon you'd bring a dynamic to that show that was needed. I am.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is a
actually-
small. It's kind of a small picture. All right, I'll.
True knowledge
I have to look. I can't.
they don't have.
My screen setup is not ergonomically sound. All right, here they are.
Yes.
Ah, I agree with you.
You would.
No,
Oh, yeah, you sound like a
Can you ride
combo of the two.
Yeah,
Can you ride a
this
motorbike?
guy. This guy's neat. This is a problem for him, but this guy, that's very nice. That's a nice head of hair. This is, but I admire what he's doing. He's got a little Larry David thing going. He's like, I'm just gonna let it go. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm putting it the wrong screen. Here, this guy is what I meant. This guy right here. See this guy? That's a problem. That's a nice head of hair.
I feel like Lee is American Hammers Network James May.
Oh, I love James May. I'm such a big fan. I'm not joking. I love James May. Seriously, I'm a huge fan of James May, and I like all that crew. What's his name? Clarkson and Hammond, but May is the sublime one to me. Although Clarkson's the funniest one. So. But I haven't watched that show. I haven't watched they did the Amazon show, right? They did.
Yeah, it's all right.
Grand Tour. It's not as good as the old Top Gear. It's okay, but it's not as good. Something about the old Top Gear was better. But anyway, we'll always have the reruns. All right, it's almost midnight. The storm seems to have passed. Is it?
Yeah.
You see any lightning or thunder, David?
I do not know.
No, I don't either.
Seems to be clear.
Storm seems to have passed. I did not have the power go out. My air conditioner is still running because it was 91 degrees here today. That's really, really hot. She was just lovely in general. Yeah. Thank you, Peach. I appreciate that. I get maybe. I can sort of see this. Yeah. Yeah, I can sort of see this. All right. Anyway, it's almost midnight on the East Coast. It's got to be. Time is it, Charlie? 5 a.m.
5. Yeah.
It's light outside your house.
It is getting light.
It's light.
It is getting light.
Like the dawn has broken.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We've been going for almost 3 hours. So it's time to go. But to everybody, get this thing sorted. To all you in the chat room, thank you for being here. I just wanted to say, first of all, let me just say, now that if you're still watching after almost 3 hours, God bless you. We might be switching nights because Sully can't do Wednesday nights anymore, and I really love having Sully on the show. So we'll see. Plus, I'm not promising a weekly show during the closed season. To be honest, you know what I mean. You run out of stuff to talk about, like tonight, for instance. You run out of stuff to talk about.
Bro, we didn't even talk about the fact that today our assistant manager left the club.
Yeah.
There was fairly big topics we just danced
somebody
around.
commented on it, and I put the comment on the screen.
I mean,
we
that
covered it.
counts.
We
That
covered
counts.
it.
That counts
We
as
covered
well.
it. We covered it.
But we've done
No.
accents and impressions, so that's better than.
We've
I
done
mean, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm not
everything
complaining.
there is to do. So keep an eye. Well, let's keep an eye out for maybe schedule changes or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, this is our. The season ended, of course, on Sunday, but this is our sort of officially our last show of the season because we were wrapping up the last game of the season. And I just wanted to tell everybody it's been so great having you here. It's obviously great having you here in the chat room, on with me, John, James, David, Lucas, Charlie, and everybody else who's been on so many times. Obviously, Sally, our friend, Chris. There's 1,000 other people I'm going to forget about. Tommy has been on many times. Danny's been on a bunch of times. Thank you for being on all season long. I have loved the season in a way I've never loved any other sports season before. It's just been the most wonderful experience all the way through. And I want to thank you all for being family with me and coming through it with me. And, brighter days ahead, hopefully. Big things to come. Anyway, you guys got anything else you want to add before we mercifully end?
I just want
our
to thank you,
broadcast?
Lee. I just want to thank you, mate, for
thank you.
allowing me to come on. And basically, I've met some good people for American Hammers. Like,
James, you've been great. You've been on every week now for quite a while. You've been fantastic. And no, this is
it
a
all
real
started
thing.
when Walsh didn't think Cafal was good enough, and I had to come on. And say,
I didn't say he wasn't good enough. I said he wasn't dynamic, and I stick by that opinion. But...
He wasn't.
I'll tell you what. We're gonna do next week. We'll do a proper season wrap up. We'll do Hammer of the Year. We'll do goal of the season. We all know what that is. Okay, we'll do that next week. All right. We'll do one more show next week.
Yeah, it was the all-air bicycle kick.
Wait, where did James go? James, where did he go?
I think he wanted to bounce. He gave his thank you, and then he.
Oh, well, all right. Well,
and he ducked.
You know what?
Yeah.
I respect that. We'll do a proper wrap up, and we'll keep it to like 2 hours and 45 minutes. All right. Anyway, thanks for being on, everybody. It's great being with you as always. And come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Bye.